Chapter 2439. Chapter 2439. Chapter 2439 Spatial Teleportation Array. Understood. Xiao Duanya's body trembled when he heard Song Shihao's voice transmission. Xiao Duanya was very clear. Strictly speaking, he was not Song Shihao's subordinate. He was just a cultivator chosen by 8 southern regions to guard the outer city. Song Shihao's clan ruled a large region in 8 southern regions. By relying on Song Shihao, he might even have the chance to reach the late-stage Immortal King realm in the future. Swoosh! Song Shihao did not continue speaking. He leaped into the air and flew into the distance. Behind him, the Western Venerable, Southern Venerable, and Tai Muqiang followed closely. In truth, to Tai Muqiang and the Western Reverend, they really wanted to follow Ningyu to the secret realm of the Soaring Sky Immortal Empire. However, they had no other choice because of their relationship with Song Shihao. After Song Shihao and the others left, Ningyu turned to Lin Lang and asked, "Is there anything we need to pay attention to when we go to the secret realm?" Pay attention? Lin Lang was slightly startled, but he still answered, "The only thing we need to pay attention to is that after entering the secret realm, no matter how strong the cultivator is, his cultivation will be suppressed to the 5th stage half-step Immortal King realm." Ning-Yu raised his eyebrows. Obviously, Lin Lang's words moved him. His current cultivation was at the 5th stage half-step Immortal King realm. He could easily fight against a mid-stage Immortal King realm expert. Once he used the War God physique, his strength could completely kill a peak mid-stage Immortal King realm expert. Under such circumstances, who could be his opponent in the secret realm? Let's go first and try to reach the entrance of the secret realm as soon as possible. Lin Lang did not want to waste too much time here. He stomped on the ground and searched for the direction of the secret realm. Even though Ning-Yu had many doubts, he could only follow behind Lin Lang. He would ask them when they reached the secret realm. Yan Yeming originally wanted to return to his super celestial kingdom, but he was unwilling to give up on Ningyu, a peerless genius. Helplessly, he could only choose to follow Ningyu to the secret realm. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. In the dense forest, 3 figures sped past. Without a doubt, these 3 figures were none other than Ningyu, Lin Lang, and the others who had just left the entrance of the Immortal Court. Because the distance to the secret realm of the Soaring Sky Immortal Empire was extremely far, the 3 of them decided to head to a nearby empire first before using a spatial teleportation array. The 3-day journey that Lin Lang mentioned was actually the time taken to use the teleportation array. Otherwise, if they were to rely on flying alone, it would take them at least 30 days to get there. After passing through this forest, the Cloudmang Immortal Empire is just ahead. Lin Lang pointed ahead and spoke. The Cloudmang Immortal Empire is the same as the Soaring Sky Immortal Empire. Both are mid-tier immortal empires. The strongest expert there is at least a 5th stage half-step Immortal King. We will directly head to the capital city and think of a way to use the spatial teleportation array. Ningyu shrugged non-committally. For Lin Lang to be so familiar with the task, it was clear that he was not as simple as the prince of the divine wood immortal kingdom. However, these things had little to do with Ningyu. As long as Lin Lang wasn't a threat to him, he wouldn't make an enemy out of Lin Lang. After all, no matter what, they had fought side by side. Cloudmang Immortal Kingdom. In a mid-tier immortal empire, the strongest expert, there was at least a 5th stage half-step Immortal King. The capital city of the Cloudmang Immortal Empire was built more majestically and was huge. From afar, it looked like a giant coiling dragon. On both sides of the capital city's entrance, there were 2 giant stone lions erected. If anyone looked down on these 2 stone lions, they would definitely suffer a great loss. This was because they were the guardian stone lions of the Cloudmang Immortal Empire. Anyone who wanted to trespass into the capital city would be stopped by the stone lions. If it was light, they would be severely injured. If it was heavy, they would be killed. Whoosh! At this moment, Ningyu and Lin Lang flew over from afar and stopped 1,000 meters away from the capital city of the Cloud Mang Immortal Empire. Something's wrong. As soon as they stopped, Yang Yiming frowned slightly as though he had discovered something. What's going on? Ningyu asked. In Ningyu's opinion, Yang Yiming and Lin Lang were not simple. I sensed Mo Chang's aura in the Cloud Mang city. Yang Yiming said in a deep voice, Mo Chang. Ningyu was stunned. Then his face turned solemn. Previously, he had heard from Yang Yiming that Mo Chang was also from a super immortal empire and had an immortal king following him. Since there were 2 entrances to the immortal court from Steep Cliff City, Mo Chang might have entered from the other entrance. Let's be careful. Yang Yiming continued. Mo Chang is a vengeful person. Because of you, he lost tens of thousands of 2 world stones to me. He will definitely take revenge. Moreover, I sense 2 extremely terrifying auras in the Cloud Mang city. One of them is equivalent to a mid-stage immortal king, while the other is equivalent to a late-stage immortal king. They are even slightly stronger than Song Shihao at his peak. Swoosh! Upon hearing this, Ningyu's expression changed slightly. With his current strength, he could kill a peak mid-stage immortal king if he used all his trump cards. However, if he encountered a late-stage immortal king, he would not even have the chance to escape. There was a late-stage immortal king in the Cloud Mang city? Then wouldn't it bode ill for him to go to the Cloud Mang city? Let's go! While Ningyu was thinking, Yang Yiming had already walked towards the entrance of the Cloud Mang city. Let's go too. Ningyu and Lin Lang glanced at each other before moving their feet to follow at Yang Yiming's sides. It did not take long. Ningyu and the others arrived at the entrance of the Cloud Mang city. There was no special inspection, just a simple inquiry. Then, Ningyu and the others entered the Cloud Mang city. Let's go to the teleportation pavilion. As soon as they entered the Cloud Mang city, Lin Lang said, The teleportation pavilion is very powerful and specializes in the teleportation business. If we want to go to the Soaring Sky Immortal Kingdom, we need to use the teleportation array of the teleportation pavilion. Ningyu glanced at Lin Lang, but did not ask anything. Sha! Sha! Then, the 3 of them went straight to the teleportation pavilion. Where do you want to go? The hall of the teleportation pavilion was very grand. The person who received Ningyu and the others was a gray-robed old man who was half-stepped to the Immortal King realm. The gray-robed old man was honest. He did not look down on Ningyu and the others just because they were young. The Soaring Sky Immortal Kingdom. Lin Lang went straight to the point and said, The Soaring Sky Immortal Kingdom? The gray-robed old man frowned, clearly showing a difficult expression. Seeing the gray-robed old man's action, Ningyu said calmly, Is the teleportation pavilion unable to reach the Soaring Sky Immortal Kingdom? The teleportation pavilion is very powerful. There is no place in the entire 8 southern regions that cannot be reached. The gray-robed old man's brows relaxed as he said with a smile, It's just that there are more people in the Soaring Sky Immortal Kingdom recently, so you might have to wait for a few days. We're leaving today, Lin Lang said in a low voice. It would take 2 days to reach the Soaring Sky Immortal Kingdom by using the teleportation array. Once they reached the Soaring Sky Immortal Kingdom, they would need another day to reach the secret realm. Chapter 2440. Cloudy Mang Iron Guards. I'm sorry, I really can't today. The smile on the gray-robed old man's face gradually turned cold. If you need it, you can register first. Once there's an empty spot, I will inform you immediately. At this moment, a young man dressed in white walked in with a folding fan in his hand. Young Masterby, what brings you here? The gray-robed old man hurriedly greeted the white-robed young man with a smile. Why didn't you inform me in advance? I would have sent someone to pick you up. Get ready. I'm going to the Soaring Sky Immortal Kingdom. Young Master casually threw a spatial ring to the gray-robed old man and said indifferently, "You better arrange it for me immediately. I'm in a rush." "Yes." The gray-robed old man nodded and walked towards the back of the palace. Obviously, he was going to arrange a spatial teleportation array for young Master Bai. Swoosh! Lin Lang's figure flashed and blocked the gray-robed old man. "Why does he have a spot, but we have to wait for a few days?" Lin Lang was extremely angry. If it wasn't for the fact that he had to use the spatial teleportation array, he would have already punished the gray-robed old man. Young Master Bai is the crown prince of the Cloudy Mang Immortal Kingdom, a fifth-stage half-step immortal king. If he wants to use the spatial teleportation array, of course there's a spot. The gray-robed old man said proudly. "Fifth-stage half-step immortal king?" Hearing this, Ningyu started to carefully examine young Master Bai. This caused Ningyu to be slightly surprised. The Cloudy Mang Immortal Kingdom was only a mid-level immortal kingdom, and the strongest cultivator was a fifth-stage half-step immortal king. It didn't make sense for a crown prince to be a fifth-stage half-step immortal king. This didn't make sense. "What, you're not convinced?" Young Master Bai waved the folding fan in his hand and said to Lin Lang, "I'm a fifth-stage half-step immortal king, and you're a first-stage half-step immortal king. I really don't understand where you get the confidence to fight with me for the spatial teleportation array." "Look, someone is fighting with young Master Bai. Young Master Bai is a fifth-stage half-step immortal king. Fighting with him is tantamount to courting death. This is going to be a good show. Isn't that so?" 3 months ago, young Master Bai suddenly rose to prominence, and his cultivation rose from the first level of the half-step Immortal King realm to the 5th level of the half-step Immortal King realm. He's extremely outstanding, and he directly replaced the previous Crown Prince to become the new Crown Prince of the Cloud Mang Immortal Empire. Young Master Bai is a man who seeks revenge for the smallest grievance. These fellows who don't know the immensity of heaven and earth dare to offend young Master Bai. In my opinion, they are destined to die. In the main hall of the teleportation pavilion, everyone saw that Lin Lang and young Master Bai were in a dispute, and they all revealed the expressions of spectators. What's so great about a fifth-stage half-step immortal king? Lin Lang had yet to respond. A young man in black next to them curled his lips and said, "A fifth-stage half-step celestial king who forcefully improved his cultivation by consuming medicinal pills. His strength is equivalent to a second-stage half-step celestial king at most." The black-clothed man's words clearly caused young Master Bai's expression to turn extremely ugly. He had indeed consumed pills to raise his cultivation to the 5th stage half-step Immortal King stage. However, this was his taboo. If anyone dared to use this to mock him, they would definitely not have a good ending. Young Master Bai stared coldly at the black-clothed man and said fiercely, "Kneel down and kowtow to me to admit your mistake. Otherwise, I will take your life. If you want me to kowtow to you and admit my mistake, you need to have the strength to do so." The black-clothed man smiled faintly and said, "You're courting death." Young Master Bai stomped his feet on the ground and immediately rushed out, rushing toward the black-clothed man. Swoosh! However, young Master Bai had just arrived in front of the black-clothed man when the black-clothed man turned into a shadow and disappeared. Bang! With a backhand punch, the black-clothed man bombarded young Master Bai's back, causing him to retreat several feet. "I got it." Seeing the black-clothed man and young Master Bai fighting, Ningyu suddenly understood. Just now, he had been suspecting young Master Bai's identity, but now he was almost certain that young Master Bai was definitely related to a heavenly demon. In other words, young Master Bai might not be a heavenly demon, but the fact that he could improve his cultivation to the 5th stage half-step Immortal King stage was definitely related to a heavenly demon. "Who are you?" Young Master Bai looked coldly at the black-clothed man and said in a low voice, This is Cloudy Mang City. If you dare to behave atrociously again, I will immediately mobilize the Cloudy Mang City Iron Guards and take you down." He could see that young Master Bai was already beyond furious. However, through the hasty exchange just now, young Master Bai judged that he was no match for the black-clothed man, so he could only resort to using threats. Cloudy Mang City Iron Guards, a motley crew. The black-clothed man shrugged, then turned to look at the gray-clothed old man and said, "Prepare a position for me. I want to go to the soaring sky immortal kingdom." Cloudy Mang Iron Guards. Young Master Bai clenched his fists and shouted, "Swoosh!" As young Master Bai's words fell, several figures suddenly appeared in the surroundings. These figures were the Cloudy Mang Iron Guards. Heavenly Demons. As soon as the Cloudy Mang Iron Guards appeared, Ning Yu confirmed the judgment in his heart, because the Cloudy Mang Iron Guards were not humans, but heavenly demons, genuine heavenly demons. Didn't they say that only one large region in the 8 southern regions was breached by heavenly demons? Ning Yu was a little puzzled. Song Shihao had told him that there was only one entrance to the Immortal Court in the 8 southern regions that had been breached, and the Cloudy Mang Immortal Kingdom was located within the range of the entrance to the large region where Song Shihao was. Logically speaking, even if heavenly demons breached the entrance, they would not be able to infiltrate here so quickly. Could it be that heavenly demons have long entered the Immortal Court, and the 108 regions joined forces this time to deceive people? Ningyu frowned and thought to himself, "Go, take down this arrogant man." Young Master Bai waved his hand and pointed at the black-clothed man, saying, "I will reward anyone who can kill him with 10,000 two-realm stones." Boom! Hearing young Master Bai's words, the other martial artists in the hall even wanted to attack. "Haha! As I said, you are just a motley crew." The black-clothed man did not panic at all. Instead, the corners of his mouth curled up into an arc swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Immediately after, he waved his wrist, and in an instant, several fist lights swept out. These fist lights then split into 2, 2 into 4, into 8. In an instant, the entire hall was filled with cold light. Bang, bang, bang. The Cloudy Mang Iron Guards that young Master Bai had called over were defeated by the black-clothed man in just one exchange. Of course, the black-clothed man did not kill the Cloudy Mang Iron Guards, but seriously injured them. Young Master Bai's face was extremely gloomy, since he had reached the 5th phase of half-step to Immortal King. When had he ever suffered such humiliation? He took a deep breath, bowed to the void, and said in a clear voice, "Please show yourself, King Pingling." Crack! The moment young Master Bai's voice fell, the void cracked. Then a martial artist with a flat top slowly walked out of the void. "It's him." Seeing the flat-top martial artist, the others did not have any reaction, but Yang Yeming, who was next to Ningyu, had an ugly expression. Chapter 2441. Chapter 2441. Chapter 241. Lich King. I didn't expect to meet young Master Yang here. After King Pingling appeared, he didn't look at young Master Bai or the black-robed man. Instead, he fixed his eyes on Yang Yeming. "Where is Emo Chang? Ask him to come out and see me," Yang Yeming said in a deep voice with a cold face. "Haha! Young Master is busy and has no time to see you." King Pingling smiled and said, "If young Master Yang insists on seeing young Master, I can take you there." "King Pingling, please take care of this rascal." Young Master Bai hurriedly reminded when he saw that the cultivator with the flat-top haircut didn't attack the black-robed man. Humph! King Pingling casually waved a cold light and knocked young Master Bai back several feet. He snorted and said, "You'd better not speak when you shouldn't, or you will easily get yourself killed." "Yes." Young Master Bai got up from the ground and answered immediately, even though he was spitting blood. "Young Master Yang, I'll take care of the trouble in front of me first. I'll catch up with you later." King Pingling first showed an apologetic look to young Master Yang, then looked at the black-robed man and said, "Kill yourself, so that I can leave your body intact." "Haha, you want me to kill myself?" The black-robed man obviously didn't take King Pingling seriously. The corner of his mouth curled up, and he said with a faint smile, "Trash who hasn't even reached the middle stage of a mortal king deserves to talk to me like this." "You're courting death." King Pingling flew into a rage. He was at the peak of the early stage of a mortal king and extremely powerful. In his opinion, the black-robed man was just a fifth-stage half-step immortal king. A fifth-stage half-step immortal king called him. An early-stage immortal king a good-for-nothing. Even if his aunt could tolerate it, his uncle couldn't. In a flash, King Pingling came in front of the black-robed man and punched out with violent energy. The black-robed man didn't want to be outdone. He also clenched his right fist and punched out. Bang! The two fists collided. Countless shock waves spread out in all directions. Clatter! Ning Yu casually waved his hand and easily blocked the shock waves. Most people in the hall didn't notice Ning Yu's little move. Their eyes were almost fixed on King Pingling and the black-robed man. Boom! After one move, King Pingling attacked again, launching a barrage of attacks at the black-clad man. Could it be that Mo Chang and the rest are also involved with the heavenly demons? Yang Yumming frowned slightly. Like Ningyu, he had already determined that the Cloudy Mang Iron Guards were extraterrestrial demons. King Pingling was very close to the celestial demons, so it was very likely that he had joined the celestial demons. However, there was one thing that Yang Yumming did not understand. Mo Chang was someone from a super immortal nation. Did he know that his subordinates were in cahoots with the heavenly demons? It would be fine if he didn't know, but once he did, the consequences would be unimaginable, because it meant that a super celestial kingdom had already been infiltrated by the heavenly demons. You should know, in the 8 southern regions, although a super celestial empire wasn't the strongest power, it was enough to shake the foundations of a large region. If the super immortal kingdom that Mo Chang was in had already been infiltrated by the heavenly demons, or even controlled by them, then the entire 8 southern regions would probably have traces of the heavenly demons. Bang! Bang! While Yang Yumming was still deep in thought, the battle between the black-robed man and King Pingling had already ended. It wasn't that a victor had been decided, but that a stooped old man had appeared at the entrance of the teleportation pavilion. Seeing the old man, Ningyu was shocked. The old man's cultivation was not at the early stage of the Immortal King realm, but at the peak of the middle stage Immortal King realm. Although Ningyu could defeat an expert with such strength, it would be a Pyrrhic victory, because the old man was only a thin line away from the late stage Immortal King realm. If he wanted to, he could advance to the late stage Immortal King realm at any time. Greetings, Lich King. Seeing the old man appear, King Pingling was delighted and hurriedly greeted him. Just now, when he fought with the black-robed man, King Pingling had already judged the opponent's strength. If he fought head-on, he might not be able to get the upper hand, and he might even be killed by the opponent. Now that the Lich King had appeared, the black-robed man would definitely suffer. There was no other reason. The Lich King was a super expert under Mo Chang's command, infinitely close to the late-stage Immortal King realm. When such a peerless expert attacked, the black-robed man might not even be able to resist one move. What's going on? The Lich King didn't attack directly. He looked at King Pingling calmly and asked, "Young master didn't ask you to come here to stand up for this trash." Plop! Hearing the Lich King's words, King Pingling knelt on the ground in fear. He knew the Lich King's character very well. Anyone who offended the Lich King would not have a good ending. I was wrong. Please give me another chance, Lich King. King Pingling kept kowtowing and begging for mercy. I'll do it right away. Go ahead. I hope you won't let young master down, the Lich King said lightly. Thank you, Lich King. King Pingling hurriedly thanked him, then got up and walked toward the inner hall of the teleportation pavilion. When King Pingling disappeared, the Lich King said to the black-robed man, "Third Prince, since you're here, why don't you go and see young master?" "No need. I have nothing to see, Emo Chong." The black-robed man said calmly, "Go back and tell Emo Chong that I'll definitely get back what I lost." "That's not up to you." The Lich King's face turned cold, and then he reached out his right hand and grabbed at the black-robed man. "You can't catch me." The black-robed man took out a scroll from his bosom and activated it. Rumble! In an instant, the void cracked open, and the black-robed man jumped into the crack in front of the Lich King. "You want to leave?" The Lich King seemed to have guessed that the black-robed man would do this. He grabbed at the void with his right hand, and suddenly a cold light appeared and was thrown into the crack. Poochie! Not long after, the black-robed man was knocked out of the void, spitting out a mouthful of blood and looking pale. "You!" The black-robed man stared at the Lich King in disbelief and exclaimed, "How is this possible?" "Nothing is impossible. Third Prince, come with me. I believe the young master will spare your life on account of the fact that you two are brothers." The Lich King's expression did not change much. He said indifferently, "You should know that the other princes have all submitted to young master. In the near future, young master will inherit the throne of the emperor." Crack! Crack! The black-robed man clenched his fists, making cracking sounds. In fact, before he came here, he had already prepared how to escape. Who would have thought? The Lich King's strength had soared to such a level, and he had mastered a spatial secret technique. Otherwise, he would definitely be able to escape using the scroll. "Young Master Yang, why don't you come with me?" After defeating the black-robed man, the Lich King turned to look at Yang Yumming and said, "Young Master has been missing you ever since we parted at Cliffside City." "Humph!" Yang Yumming snorted coldly and shifted his gaze to Ningyu. Yang Yumming knew the current situation. Unless Ningyu made a move, he would definitely be taken away by the Lich King. However, he was not very sure. Chapter 2442. Chapter 2442. Chapter 2442. Unfavorable. The Lich King followed Yang Yumming's gaze and saw the extremely calm Ningyu. To be honest, Ningyu's reaction made the Lich King a little puzzled, because Ningyu was only a 5th phase half-step Celestial King, while he was a peak intermediate Celestial King. Logically, a 5th phase half-step Celestial King should not have such an expression when he saw a peak intermediate Celestial King, unless this 5th phase half-step Celestial King had a way to protect his life, so he was not afraid of a peak intermediate Celestial King expert. Interesting. The Lich King sized up Ningyu, then said, "You are not weak. Come with me to see the young master." Swoosh! As he spoke, the Lich King extended his right hand, wanting to grab Ningyu. Bang! However, just as the Lich King's palm was about to touch Ningyu, Xiao Duanya suddenly attacked, punching towards the Lich King's fist. Song Shihao had once said, no matter what, he had to ensure Ningyu's safety. So, seeing the Lich King attack, Xiao Duanya would help Ningyu without any hesitation. "You overestimate yourself." The Lich King's expression turned cold, and he gave up on Ningyu. Golden light flashed on his fist, and he punched toward Xiao Duanya. In an instant, the Lich King's fist collided with Xiao Duanya's fist. The two fists collided. The Lich King stood where he was without moving, while Xiao Duanya flew out in a straight line. Swoosh! Seeing that Xiao Duanya was about to hit the ground, a shadow darted out and caught him firmly. Obviously, the martial artist who caught Xiao Duanya was none other than Ningyu. Ningyu was not a heartless person, although he did not need Xiao Duanya's help. No matter what, Xiao Duanya was injured by the Lich King because of him. "Good lad, your strength is indeed terrifying." The Lich King did not care about Xiao Duanya's life or death. He looked coldly at Ningyu and said in a low voice, "I will still say the same thing. Come with me to see the young master. I can plead with the young master to spare your wretched life." Others might not know. However, the Lich King knew it very well. When they were exchanging blows just now, he had secretly left a force on Xiao Duanya's body. The force that he had left behind was enough to kill an ordinary peak early immortal king martial artist. The fact that Ningyu was able to break the force that he had left behind so easily showed that Ningyu's strength had far surpassed the peak of the early immortal king stage. He could even fight against an intermediate immortal king stage expert. However, in the eyes of the Lich King, even though Ningyu's strength had reached the intermediate stage of the immortal king stage, he was still not afraid. "Are you all right?" Ningyu placed Xiao Duanya on the ground, then threw him an energy stone. Xiao Duanya did not stand on ceremony. He took the energy stone and immediately threw it into his mouth. Kacha! The moment the energy stone entered his mouth, it turned into majestic energy and flowed into Xiao Duanya's abdomen through his throat. With the help of this terrifying energy, Xiao Duanya very quickly recovered to his peak state. "I'm fine." Xiao Duanya took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, "I can still fight." Ha ha ha. The Lich King seemed to have heard the funniest joke in the world. He raised his head and laughed wildly, saying, "Against you I can kill you with one hand. Go and rest first." Ningyu patted Xiao Duanya's shoulder and secretly transmitted his voice, "Pay attention to protect Yang Yuming and Lin Lang." Ningyu did not have any fear towards a simple Lich King. The only thing that made Ningyu feel fear was the indistinct aura in the void. The Lich King only had the cultivation of a peak intermediate stage immortal king stage expert. However, the indistinct aura in the void seemed to be that of a late-stage immortal king stage expert. And this was the reason why Ningyu did not fight the Lich King with his life at the first instance. Have you thought it through? Just as Ningyu was thinking, the Lich King's voice sounded in his ears. Not much. Ningyu collected his thoughts and revealed an arrogant expression. He said proudly, "Against you I can also kill you with one hand. You're courting death." The Lich King was completely infuriated by Ningyu. He raised his head and roared. His feet stepped on the ground, and his body instantly darted out. This time, the Lich King was even faster. He only used a second to reach in front of Ningyu. He raised his right leg and kicked at Ningyu's head. Bang! Facing the Lich King's attack, Ningyu was calm. He raised his right arm and unavoidably collided with the Lich King's right leg. Arm collided with leg. No matter how one looked at it, Ningyu did not have the upper hand. However, the result was beyond everyone's expectations. Ningyu and the Lich King retreated several zhang at the same time. In this move, neither side gained the upper hand. Damn it, how can he be so strong? After one move, the Lich King did not continue to attack, but his face was very ugly. Previously, he knew that Ningyu was strong, but he did not expect it to be this strong. In a one-on-one fight, if he wanted to win, the probability was only 50%. In other words, if no outsider intervened, he could only continue to tangle with Ningyu today. However, the Lich King was thinking about how to fight with Ningyu, and Ningyu was also thinking about how to fight with him. The difference between them was that the Lich King was thinking about how to defeat Ningyu, while Ningyu was thinking about how to stall for time so that he could judge whether the expert in the void was a friend or foe. If the expert in the void was a friend, then Ningyu would not hesitate to attack and kill the Lich King. However, if the expert in the void was an enemy, then Ningyu would escape immediately without hesitation. "Ningyu, can you give me an energy stone?" At this moment, a voice rang in Ningyu's ears. The martial artist who spoke was none other than the black-robed man. With just an energy stone, I can contact a helper who is thousands of miles away and ask him to come to our rescue." Seeing that Ning Yu did not respond to him, the black-robed man hurriedly said, "Emo Chang has a late-stage immortal king expert with him. If there is no helper, both of us will die." Ning Yu glanced at the black-robed man and said lightly, "Why should I believe you?" Although the situation was very dangerous, Ning Yu did not give the energy stone to the black-robed man immediately. Perhaps if he gave the energy stone to the black-robed man could invite a late-stage immortal king helper. However, who knew if the black-robed man would turn against him after the matter was done? If he defeated the Lich King and the rest, then he would have to face a new force. Wouldn't that be very dangerous? I can open my mind and let you control it. The black-robed man was very afraid that Ning Yu would reject him. He opened his mind and said, "Besides, as long as you help me this time, I can give you a large number of 2 realm stones." Sure. After thinking for a while, Ning Yu separated a bit of soul power and entered the black-robed man's body. Swoosh! Subsequently, Ning Yu shook his wrist and threw an energy stone to the black-robed man. Crack! After catching the energy stone, the black-robed man did not hesitate and crushed it. At the same time, he used a secret skill to contact a helper who was thousands of miles away. Third Prince, isn't it a little inappropriate for you to do this? However, Chapter 2443. Chapter 2443. Chapter 2443. The last radiance of setting sun. Ka. As the faint voice rang out, the void suddenly split open. Then, an old man in brown clothes slowly appeared before everyone's eyes. Hiss! As soon as the brown-robed old man appeared, everyone around sucked in a cold breath. Late-stage immortal king. The brown-robed old man's cultivation was a level higher than the Lich King's. He had reached the terrifying late-stage celestial king realm. "It's you." Seeing the brown-robed old man, the black-robed man's face instantly turned cold. The super-immortal kingdom he was in was called the Dragon War Empire. Dragon War Empire has a total of 10 princes, and each prince has a lot of powerful people behind him to support him. The brown-robed elder in front of him was the supporter behind the third prince, Emo Chang. His name was Zhao Feiyu. Zhao Feiyu's strength was enough to rank in the top 3 among all the prince's supporters. This time he had secretly gone to the Cloudy Mang Celestial Kingdom to investigate whether Emo Chang had colluded with the heavenly demons. Once he found evidence, he could easily overthrow Emo Chang. Third prince, don't waste your energy. I've already set up a formation in the surroundings. You're dreaming if you want to spread the news. The corner of Zhao Feiyu's lips curled up into a smile. He softly said, "Let me give you a piece of advice. Open up your mind, or else I will teach you the meaning of cruelty." Boom! While they were speaking, Zhao Feiyu unleashed his aura and frantically pressed against the black-clothed man. Ka! Under the pressure of Zhao Feiyu's terrifying aura, a crisp sound came from the black-clothed man's knees, and beads of sweat continuously dripped from his forehead. "Emo Shao, don't think that just because I called you the third prince, you'll become arrogant. Today, you'll have to surrender even if you don't want to." Zhao Feiyu moved his feet and walked towards the man in black. Dong dong dong. Although Zhao Feiyu's speed was very slow, in Emo Zhao's eyes it was very fast. "I am the third prince of the Dragon War Empire. You dare to kill me." It was a critical moment. Emo Zhao took out a token from his bosom and said coldly, "This token was given to me by Imperial Father. As long as you kill me, Imperial Father will know immediately." Damn it! Zhao Feiyu's face turned ugly when he saw the token in Emo Zhao's hand. Dragon War Empire had a total of 10 princes. The Sovereign Emperor secretly sent out 3 tokens. Originally, Zhao Feiyu thought that it was impossible for Emo Zhao to have a token, but now he realized that he was wrong. The The token on Mo Shao meant that he couldn't kill Mo Shao. At most, he could only imprison him. Once he forcibly killed Mo Shao, the consequences would be unimaginable. Taking a deep breath, Zhao Feiyu coldly looked at Mo Shao and said in a deep voice, "I've underestimated you, Lich King. Here." The Lich King immediately came before Zhao Feiyu, cupped his fists, and said, "What instructions does Lord Zhao have?" "Capture Mo Shao and lock him in the Cloud Meng dungeon," Zhao Feiyu said coldly. "Yes." The Lich King stomped on the ground and immediately arrived in front of Mo Shao. He grabbed Mo Shao's shoulder and fled into the distance. Ning Yu looked on coldly and had no intention of interfering. Ning Yu was very clear about his own strength. He could kill the Lich King without expending too much energy. However, against Zhao Feiyu, who was at the late Immortal King stage, there was only death awaiting him. Even if he used the bloodline of the war god physique, there was absolutely no possibility of him winning. Moreover, even if he wanted to save Mo Shao, he was powerless even if he wanted to. After the Lich King took Mo Shao away, Zhao Feiyu shifted his gaze to Ning Yu. "You're not weak. Are you interested in following me and working for me?" Zhao Feiyu had seen the battle between Ning Yu and the Lich King, so he knew that Ning Yu was very strong. Now, Mo Chong was short of manpower. If he could get a beneficial helper like Ning Yu, then he would have less pressure in the upcoming battle for the Crown Prince position. "Do I have a choice?" Ning Yu smiled bitterly and said, "I don't mind following you and working for you, but in my opinion, Mo Chong should mind." "It's okay." Zhao Feiyu waved his hand and said, "Young master is magnanimous. I already know about your encounter with him in Broken Cliff City. With my persuasion, young master will definitely accept you. In that case, many thanks." Ning Yu cupped his fists at Zhao Feiyu. In this situation, Ning Yu actually had no other choice. Either submit to Zhao Feiyu or be killed by Zhao Feiyu. Or, in other words, he could immediately cultivate the war god body to the body strengthening level. In this case, he still had the ability to fight with Zhao Feiyu. "Let's go, follow me." "Not good." Zhao Feiyu nodded and was about to instruct Ning Yu to follow him when his expression changed drastically. "Lich King." Without much time to think, Zhao Feiyu immediately sent a voice transmission to the Lich King. "Come back quickly and look after Ning Yu and the others for me. Young master is in trouble. I have to go and save him." Swish! As soon as he finished speaking, Zhao Feiyu immediately jumped up, tore the void, and went in. Voila! As soon as Zhao Feiyu left, the Lich King and Mo Shao appeared in front of everyone. "Young master is in trouble?" Ning Yu frowned slightly. He was not sure if this was Zhao Feiyu's test. Therefore, he did not act rashly for the time being. Instead, he stayed where he was. "Ning Yu, Zhao Feiyu has left. Do you have a way to kill the Lich King?" Ning Yu had concerns, but Mo Shao did not. He immediately sent a voice transmission to Ning Yu. "Kill the Lich King and then help me break the surrounding formation. I will immediately contact the helpers thousands of miles away." "No problem." Ning Yu unleashed his perception, probing the surroundings for a moment before saying heavily, "Ning Yu did not help Mo Shao just now because he knew that he was no match for Zhao Feiyu. After his probe, he had basically confirmed that Zhao Feiyu had left. A simple Lich King could not pose any threat to him." Swish! Swish! Ning Yu did not hesitate. He stepped on the ground and immediately rushed toward the Lich King. At the same time, he took out another energy stone and threw it at Mo Shao. Slash! Ning Yu gathered all the energy in his body on the red demon's sword and slashed backward. Ning Yu used 100% of his strength in this slash. Even a lion would use all its strength to fight a rabbit, let alone the Lich King, who was at the peak of the intermediate Celestial King realm. Small fry. Oh no. The Lich King wanted to mock Ning Yu, But when he sensed the terrifying energy stone on the red demon sword, his expression changed drastically and he wanted to retreat. However, it was obviously too late for the Lich King to retreat now. He had just retreated a few steps when Ningyu appeared in front of him with a red demon sword and blocked his way. Swoosh! Ningyu did not hold back. He held the red demon sword and stabbed the Lich King's heart. In an instant, the Lich King's heart was pierced and blood flowed out. After his heart was pierced, the Lich King did not die immediately. Instead, his mouth was slightly open, and his face was full of disbelief. He was a peerless expert at the peak of the intermediate Celestial King realm. He could even fight against a late-stage Celestial King realm martial artist. Now that he was killed by a 5th-stage Celestial King, how could he accept this? Die. Chapter 2444. Chapter 2444. Chapter 2444 holds something back chi. Reality proved that the power of the final radiance of the setting sun was extremely powerful. Extremely powerful. The void in front of the Lich King split open, and countless spatial fragments spread out in all directions. Kill! In the face of the Lich King's attack before his death, Ningyu's expression didn't change much. He waved the red demon's sword again, unleashing a terrifying sword projection. Walala! The sword light grew larger and larger until it finally collided with the countless spatial fragments. The huge sword light engulfed the spatial fragments almost instantly. I can't accept this. The Lich King's face became slightly ferocious. In the end, he couldn't figure out why he, a peak intermediate immortal king, couldn't kill Ningyu, who was a 5th-stage half-step immortal king. Of course, he would never be able to understand this in his next life. Who? After killing the Lich King, Ningyu heaved a sigh of relief. Although he looked relaxed, the actual situation was extremely dangerous. The Lich King's counterattack before his death was enough to kill an ordinary late immortal king expert. If Ningyu did not possess a treasure like the red demon sword, he would have been killed by the Lich King long ago. As its level increased, the secrets within the red demon sword were gradually revealed. After killing the Lich King, Ningyu did not devour him. Instead, he left him for the red demon sword. Chi! The Red Fiend devoured the Lich King very quickly. With his cooperation with the Red Fiend, it only took a minute for the Lich King to be completely devoured. Although the Lich King was an intermediate immortal king expert, the energy contained in his body was comparable to an ordinary advanced immortal king expert. After the red demon sword had devoured the Lich King, its rank had directly soared from the Celestial King intermediate stage to the Celestial King advanced stage. Help me break the formation. As soon as Ningyu killed the Lich King, Mo Xiao shouted from the other side, I can feel another expert coming this way. No problem. Ningyu was not an indecisive person. He waved the red demon sword in his hand repeatedly, and several sword rays shot out, blasting at the formation around him. Kacha! The array formation set up by Zhao Feiyu was indeed very powerful. Fortunately, Zhao Feiyu was not here. Otherwise, it would be impossible for Ningyu to break the formation with his strength alone. As soon as Ningyu broke the formation, Mo Xiao used a secret technique to contact the helpers thousands of miles away. How long will it take? Seeing Mo Xiao's relieved expression, Ningyu couldn't help but ask. Ningyu knew this better than anyone else. Even though Zhao Feiyu had left due to some matters, as long as he wanted to come back, he could return in less than 3 seconds. 30 seconds, Mo Xiao said in a deep voice. For a late-stage immortal king, a distance of 1,000 miles could be covered in a few leaps. After all, they all understood the Tao of space. His attainments in the field of space would not be too weak. Drip, drip. Time was ticking away. 30 seconds wasn't long, but it wasn't short either. For Mo Xiao, these 30 seconds were a torment. He was afraid that Zhao Feiyu would come back. One had to know. Once Zhao Feiyu came back, even if he contacted the helpers thousands of miles away, it was destined to be useless. Hurry up, hurry up. Mo Xiao clenched his fists and said to himself, "Kacha!" Just as Mo Xiao was secretly praying, the void suddenly cracked and a familiar figure appeared in front of everyone. Zhao Feiyu! This figure was not the helper that Mo Xiao invited, but Zhao Feiyu! Damn it! Seeing Zhao Feiyu, Mo Xiao's face instantly turned cold. It's too late. This was Mo Xiao's first thought. Where's the Lich King? After appearing, Zhao Feiyu did not attack Mo Xiao immediately. Instead, he looked around and said doubtfully, "Didn't I ask him to come over and watch you?" "Sorry," Ningyu shrugged and said, "The Lich King was disrespectful to me and has been killed by me." "What?" Zhao Feiyu's face changed dramatically, and his face was full of disbelief. The Lich King's cultivation was at the peak of the middle stage Celestial King realm, only one step away from the late stage Celestial King realm. Ningyu was only a fifth stage half-step Celestial King. Moreover, the combat power that he had displayed just now was completely impossible to kill the Lich King. "I hope he comes soon." Ningyu prayed secretly, then looked at Zhao Feiyu and said indifferently, "The Lich King was disrespectful to me and was killed by me. You're courting death." Zhao Feiyu's face was extremely cold. He had only left for a minute or two and found that the Lich King had been killed when he returned. This matter was indeed a little unimaginable. "I can't let you live." Zhao Feiyu stared at Ningyu coldly and said coldly, "I originally wanted to spare your life, but now it seems that I can only send you to hell." As soon as he said the word hell, Zhao Feiyu's figure flashed and instantly appeared in front of Ningyu. He clenched his right hand and suddenly punched. "Kacha! Kacha! Kacha!" Zhao Feiyu's punch was very powerful. The void in front of Ningyu cracked rhythmically. At the critical moment, Ningyu injected all the energy in his body into his fist, and it collided with Zhao Feiyu's fist with no way to avoid it. This collision, like a kite with a broken string, Ningyu flew backward in a straight line. Fortunately, Ningyu took out an energy stone in time and threw it into his mouth to recover. Otherwise, Zhao Feiyu's punch was enough to make him lose his combat power. "Humph! You overestimate yourself." Zhao Feiyu snorted coldly and said, "Hand over the Lich King. Otherwise, I'll exterminate your 9 generations." "Whose 9 generations do you want to exterminate?" However, as soon as Zhao Feiyu's cold words sounded, an indifferent voice came from the void. "Elder Gua." Hearing this familiar voice, Mo Xiao revealed a look of ecstasy. "Gua Sheng." Zhao Feiyu's face turned a little ugly. He naturally knew who the owner of the voice was. The supporter behind Mo Xiao, the late-stage Celestial King expert, Gua Sheng. Strictly speaking, compared to Gua Sheng, his strength was still a little weaker. Now that Gua Sheng had appeared, things immediately became complicated and confusing. Gua Sheng, came out of the void and landed beside Mo Xiao. "Papa!" He stretched out his right hand and poked Mo Xiao's body a few times. Suddenly, Gua Sheng's face turned cold, because he discovered that there was a soul force in Mo Xiao's body. That soul force could control Mo Xiao's life and death. "It's you." Gua Sheng did not look at Zhao Feiyu. Instead, his eyes slowly moved around the crowd and finally landed on Ningyu. He said, "Who gave you the courage to control the third prince?" "I did not do anything wrong." Gua Sheng's actions made Ningyu secretly rejoice. Fortunately, he left a soul force in Mo Xiao's body, allowing him to control Mo Xiao's life and death. Otherwise, after Gua Sheng saved Mo Xiao, he would definitely face Zhao Feiyu. "I'll give myself the courage." Ningyu stood up from the ground, patted his clothes, and said, "Mo Xiao, come here." This, hearing Ningyu's words, Mo Xiao revealed a hesitant expression. Chapter 2445. Chapter 2445. Chapter 2445 continued to transform Third Prince. Seeing Mo Xiao walking towards Ningyu, Guosheng's face turned cold, and he said in a deep voice, "I can suppress the soul force in your body." Whoosh! While they were talking, Guosheng's figure flashed, and he immediately appeared in front of Mo Xiao. He stretched out his right hand and patted Mo Xiao's shoulder. A force entered Mo Xiao's body through his shoulder and began to fight against the soul force that Ningyu had left in Mo Xiao's body. However, although Guosheng was a late-stage immortal king, his force did not gain any advantage against Ningyu's soul force. On the contrary, the violent collision caused Mo Xiao to spit out blood, and his face turned pale. Oh no! Mo Xiao's miserable state caused Guosheng's expression to change slightly, and he immediately stopped the input of force. Then, Guosheng took out an elixir and threw it into Mo Xiao's mouth. Crack! The elixir melted in Mo Xiao's mouth and went down his throat to his abdomen, slowly healing his injuries. Phew! Seeing this, Guosheng could not help but let out a long sigh. At this moment, he felt a little lucky. Fortunately, the force just now was not too powerful. Otherwise, the power of the backlash alone would be enough to kill Mo Xiao. "I'll give you one last chance." Guosheng protected Mo Xiao behind him and looked at Ningyu coldly. "Give up your control over the Third Prince, or I'll let you know what cruelty is." Actually, I'm a little curious. Ningyu did not directly answer Guosheng's words. Instead, he shrugged and said calmly, "You know that I have absolute control over Mo Xiao, yet you still insist on stopping Mo Xiao from coming over. Could it be that you have a deep grudge against Mo Xiao?" Actually, it was no wonder that Ningyu thought so. Guosheng's method was indeed a little special. This was also Ningyu's way of doing things. If it was anyone else, Mo Xiao would have already paid the price. That's right. At this moment, Zhao Feiyu, who was at the side, nodded and said, "Guosheng's actions are indeed somewhat unkind. However, according to the results of my investigation, Guosheng and the Third Prince have not been on good terms for a long time. Now that he's protecting the Third Prince, it's possible that he's using someone else to do his dirty work." You. Guosheng was so angry that his nose became crooked. The reason why he stopped Mo Xiao was because he was afraid that Mo Xiao would be controlled by Ningyu. In the end, from Ningyu and Zhao Feiyu's mouths, it was said that he was not on good terms with the Third Prince and wanted to kill him with a borrowed knife. This pot, he refused to carry it. Mo Xiao, you still have. Ningyu stretched out 3 fingers and said, 3 seconds to come over. Elder Gua, please wait a moment. Mo Xiao gritted his teeth, stomped on the ground, and rushed toward Ningyu. Guosheng might be stupid, but Mo Xiao wasn't. He knew it better than anyone else. On the surface, Ningyu didn't look angry, but in fact he was not. If he couldn't reach Ningyu within 3 seconds, then his fate was doomed. Even if he didn't die, he would be sucked dry. Damn it! Guosheng clenched his fists, and his whole body was trembling with anger. Really boring. Zhao Feiyu glanced at Guosheng and said, "Old Gua, as the saying goes, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. What's more, you and I are both from the Dragon War Empire. We should unite and kill Ningyu first." "Get lost!" Guosheng shouted at Zhao Feiyu, and then stared at Mo Xiao and Ningyu, for fear that Ningyu would do something bad to Mo Xiao. Very good. Looking at Mo Xiao in front of him, Ningyu said, "You should know that controlling you is really a helpless act." Understood. Mo Xiao nodded, indicating that he understood. Can Guosheng kill Zhao Feiyu? Ningyu didn't say much to Mo Xiao. His soul force surged and transmitted a message. What Ningyu was most worried about now was not whether Guosheng would do something bad to him, but whether Guosheng could kill Zhao Feiyu, or to seriously injure Zhao Feiyu. After all, Zhao Feiyu was also a late-stage Immortal King expert. With his strength, he would be killed in less than 3 moves. No, at most we are evenly matched. Mo Xiao also transmitted a message, and this is based on the premise that Zhao Feiyu has no helpers. But you should know that Mo Chang, who is behind Zhao Feiyu, is likely to have colluded with the Sky Demon. Once a Sky Demon expert comes, all of us will die. Hiss! Hearing that, Ningyu gasped. Mo Xiao was right. Zhao Feiyu might be a small fry, and the real expert should be with Mo Chang. If only I could improve my cultivation a little more. Ningyu's expression became extremely solemn. Ever since he entered the Immortal Court, he was eager to improve his strength. However, his cultivation had already reached the 5th stage half-step Immortal King, and his strength could also compete with a peak middle stage Immortal King expert. If he wanted to improve his strength, it would be very difficult for him to make a breakthrough unless he improved his cultivation to the real Immortal King realm. Of course, it was difficult to make a breakthrough, but it didn't mean it was impossible. Now, his war god body had reached the transformation stage, and he had already completed 1/10 of the blood transformation. As long as he could complete the transformation of the remaining 9/10, his strength would skyrocket to a terrifying level. By then, with his 5th stage half-step Immortal King cultivation, he might be able to compete with a late-stage Immortal King expert and even kill one. Ningyu, the Lich King, is an ancient demonic beast, and his blood is extremely special. At this moment, the voice of the Red Devil suddenly rang in Ningyu's ears. Ancient demonic beast. Ningyu was slightly startled, and then he said, "What's going on?" The Lich King was a peak middle stage Immortal King expert, and it took Ningyu quite a bit of effort to kill him. After killing the Lich King, Ningyu left the Lich King for the Red Devil's sword to devour. He wanted the Red Devil's sword to advance to the late-stage Immortal King realm as soon as possible. Now that the Red Devil's sword said that the Lich King's blood was special, could it be? Thinking of this, Ningyu's heart moved. If the Lich King's blood could really be ranked in the top of the myriad heavens and realms physique ranking, then he might really be able to successfully cultivate the transformation stage by devouring it. Give me the blood. Ningyu was not an indecisive person. He immediately said to the Red Devil, "Protect me, and try not to let others disturb me." Chi-Chi. The Red Devil controlled the Lich King's blood and sent it into Ningyu's body through the Red Devil sword. Rank 90 in the myriad heavens and realms physique ranking. As soon as he received the Lich King's blood, Ningyu determined that the Lich King's physique was enough to enter the top 90 of the myriad heavens and realms physique ranking. Moreover, the Lich King's original body was a demonic beast, and his blood was even comparable to the blood of the 85th rank in the myriad heavens and realms physique ranking. Transform. Ningyu did not waste any time. He immediately activated his spell and began to devour the Lich King's blood. Bang! Time passed very slowly. Guosheng and Zhao Feiyu were confronting each other, while Mo Xiao stood at the side, paying close attention to their movements. Chapter 2446. Chapter 2446. Chapter 2446. Blood, Slave, Warrior. Bang. 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 Everything seemed to be calm, but in fact undercurrents were surging. 3 minutes passed. Ningyu refined all the blood of the Lich King. After refining the blood of the Lich King, the blood of Ningyu's god of war body completed another 40% transformation. In other words, currently, Ningyu's body of the war god's bloodline had reached 5/10 of the transformation stage. He only needed to devour some blood of special constitutions to reach the 3rd level, the body strengthening level. However, Even if he didn't reach the body's strengthening level, Ningyu's strength had improved greatly. Just now, he could only run away from a late-stage immortal king powerhouse. He didn't even have the chance to escape. But now, if he faced a late-stage immortal king powerhouse again, he would be able to deal with it easily and even slightly resist. Not enough. Ningyu knew that this was not enough. Far from enough. He had to improve his strength again to the point where he could kill late-stage immortal king powerhouses. Otherwise, it would be very difficult to break out of today's trap. Emo Shao. Ningyu's eyes fell on Emo Shao. Waving his hand at Emo Shao, Ningyu said, "Do you know the list of all heavens and worlds physique?" Huh. Hearing Ningyu's question, Emo Shao was slightly startled, then said, "I know the list of all heavens and worlds physique. The Emperor of Dragon War Empire, my father, is ranked 70th on the list of all heavens and worlds physique." All right. Ningyu was very helpless. Emo Zhao's words meant that he didn't have the blood of the top physique of all heavens and worlds physique. The plan to get blood from Emo Shao was ruined. Boom! All of a sudden, Guosheng's figure flashed, and he started a battle with Zhao Feiyu. Both of them were peerless late-stage immortal king powerhouses. How powerful would the aftermath of their battle be? It was just a hasty exchange of blows, but the surrounding void cracked and countless houses collapsed. Battle in the void. Guosheng growled, then leaped into the air and rushed into the void. "You think I'm afraid of you?" Not to be outdone, Zhao Feiyu followed closely behind. Rumble. The battle between Zhao Feiyu and Guosheng caused the void to shatter and the sky to darken. Because the difference in their strength was not too great, it was difficult to determine the victor of their battle in a short period of time. Creak. Not long after, King Pingling, who had entered the inner hall of the teleportation pavilion, walked straight out. Beside King Pingling was a middle-aged man in a green robe. Sky Demon? The moment he saw the man in green, Ningyu's pupils shrank. There was no other reason. He determined that the green-robed man was not a human, but a heavenly demon. Humph! Why aren't you kneeling when you see Lord Battle General? Apparently, King Pingling did not know that the Lich King had been killed. He harumphed coldly and said, "The green-robed battle general is one of the 9 great battle generals under the command of Blood Sky Battle Emperor. His cultivation base has reached the peak of intermediate Immortal King realm, only half a step away from the true advanced Immortal King realm. How dare you not kneel down when you see him? Looks like I have to teach you a lesson." Whoosh! After that, in order to show off in front of the green-robed battle general, King Pingling rushed out on the spot, turned his right fist into a claw, and grabbed at Ningyu's head. Speak of the devil. Ningyu did not pay attention to King Pingling. His eyes were fixed on the green-robed battle general. Although the body constitution of the green-robed battle general was not ranked in the top 100 in the list of body constitutions in the universe, due to his special identity as a sky demon, his body constitution was stronger than the top 100 in the universe. After all, the list of body constitutions did not include sky demons. How dare you? King Pingling was furious. He sped up again, trying to grab Ningyu's head. Noisy. It was not until King Pingling came in front of him that Ningyu clenched his right fist and threw it out. Crack! Ah! 2 sounds rang out in succession. The first was the sound of King Pingling's fist breaking. The second was the scream of King Pingling. "I'm going to tear you into pieces." King Pingling let out a furious roar. Die! Ningyu did not want King Pingling to waste his time here. He took out the red demon sword and stabbed it at King Pingling's heart. Puff! In an instant, the red demon's sword pierced through King Pingling's heart. You! King Pingling looked down at the flying sword in his heart, then pointed at Ningyu. He wanted to say something, but before he could finish his words, he fell backward and died on the spot. Swish! Ning, you would not waste the energy in King Pingling's body. He waved his hand and sucked King Pingling into the red demon sword, so that Ning Lu and the others could devour it. In recent times, Ning Yu had already killed a few Immortal King experts and an unknown number of half-step Immortal King experts. Inside the red demon sword, Ning Lu, Shui Fairy, the Dark Emperor, and even his parents were quickly devouring the energy to cultivate. Now, except for Ning Yu's parents, the others had all improved their cultivation to the Lord of Heaven realm. Among them, Ning Lu and the Dark Emperor had improved the fastest. They had reached the late stage of Lord of Heaven and were not far from the peak of Lord of Heaven. If they were given some time, they might even break through to the Immortal King realm. Human, you're very strong. Be my slave. The death of King Pingling did not change the expression of the green-robed general. On the contrary, the green-robed general stared at Ningyu with interest and said, I'm one of the 9 generals under the command of the Blood Sky War Emperor. I command hundreds of millions of celestial demons. As long as you surrender to me, I can give you an army of celestial demons and let you conquer the world. I'd like to know to what extent my strength will improve after devouring your blood. Ningyu licked his lips and said, If I were you, I would surrender obediently so as not to suffer some unnecessary pain. Ha ha ha. The green-robed general seemed to have heard the funniest joke in the world. He first looked up and laughed wildly, then changed the topic and said coldly, Do you think I'm no match for you because I've been seriously injured? I have to say that you're a little naive. Even if my cultivation has dropped to the middle stage Immortal King realm, it's still easy for me to kill you. Drop? Ning Yu did not underestimate the enemy at all. Hearing this, he immediately used his perception and began to carefully observe the green-robed general. I'm a celestial demon. Ning Yu cursed when he saw it. Misjudgment. It was indeed a misjudgment. The cultivation of the green-robed general was not at the middle stage Immortal King realm, but at the late stage Immortal King realm. Due to some reasons, his cultivation had dropped to the middle stage Immortal King realm. But even so, the strength that the green-robed general could exert was comparable to some humans at the late stage Immortal King realm. It was no exaggeration. Even some human experts who had just reached the late stage Immortal King realm might not be able to win against the green-robed general. What do you think? Do you want to consider surrendering to me and being my slave? The green-robed general was very satisfied with Ning Yu's reaction. Chapter 2447. Chapter 2447. Chapter 2447 Physique Strengthening Level. In that case, shouldn't I thank you? Ning Yu's lips curled up. Tell me, how should I thank you? No need to thank me, as long as you open your mind and surrender. The green-robed general waved his hand. Humph! Ning Yu snorted coldly, turned into a shadow, and immediately rushed out. The green-robed general was seriously injured, and his combat power was less than half of his peak. Now was the best time to kill the green-robed general. If he missed this opportunity, there would be no more. Ning Yu's war god body's blood had already completed half of the transformation level. He only needed to devour the green-robed general's blood to complete the final transformation and completely reach the physique strengthening level. The physique strengthening level, as the name suggested, could strengthen the physique of the war god body. At this time, Ning Yu's physical strength was comparable to a mid-stage Immortal King martial artist. If he could reach the physique strengthening level, then his physical strength could even be comparable to a late-stage Immortal King powerhouse. At that time, with his 5th stage half-step Immortal King cultivation, it was not difficult to kill a late-stage Immortal King martial artist. Courting death. Seeing Ning Yu rushing towards him, the green-robed general snorted coldly, clenched his right hand into a fist, and directly punched out. Bang! In an instant, Ning Yu's fist collided with the green-robed general's fist. Swish! Swish! After one move, Ning Yu and the green-robed general retreated several feet at the same time. Obviously, in this short confrontation, whether it was Ning Yu or the green-robed general, neither gained the upper hand. Interesting. The green-robed general looked coldly at Ning Yu and said sinisterly, with a fifth-stage, half-step Immortal King cultivation, "You can actually take a punch with 30% of my strength. I have to say, your strength is indeed very strong. You're not bad yourself. You can take a punch with 10% of my strength." Ning Yu also shrugged and said, "I originally thought that an attack with 10% of my strength would be able to blast you into pieces. Who would have thought that you have some ability? I'm going to tear you to pieces." The green-robed general was furious to the extreme. Ever since he entered the Immortal Court, he had never suffered such humiliation. However, despite his anger, the green-robed general did not lose his rationality. He took a deep breath, flicked his wrist, and summoned a flying sword. The flying sword wasn't too long, but there were hundreds of skulls engraved on its blade. Skeleton Killing Sword. The green-robed general's flying sword was called the Killing Skeleton Sword, and it was a late-stage Immortal King. "Because of your stupidity, everyone here today must die." The green-robed warrior gently stroked the skeleton sword as if he was caressing a lover. Even though the Killing Skull Sword was only at the late Immortal King stage, it was very special. To be precise, the Killing Skull Sword was similar to Ning Yu's Red Demon Sword. Both of them could devour other flying swords to strengthen themselves and raise their level. Otherwise, how could a peerless heavenly demon like the green-robed general only use a flying sword of the late Immortal King realm? Arrogant heavenly demons always have short lives. Ning Yu cracked his neck, then summoned the Red Demon Sword and said indifferently, "If you were at your peak, I would naturally retreat. But unfortunately, you are not at your peak, so I have no choice but to kill you. Die." Hearing Ning Yu's nonchalant words, the green-robed general, who was originally very calm, suddenly exploded. Wielding the Killing Skeleton Sword, the green-robed general's toes touched the ground, and he instantly arrived in front of Ning Yu. Chi-chi! The energy on the Killing Skeleton Sword made a hissing sound as it slashed towards Ning Yu's neck. The green-robed general wanted to directly cut off Ning Yu's head with this attack. However, how could Ning Yu just watch as the Killing Skeleton Sword slashed towards his neck? He immediately retreated with both feet on the ground. Swoosh! The Killing Skull Sword missed its target and tore a hole in the void. "Let's fight in the sky." Ning Yu's figure flashed, and he directly flew into the air. If he was the slightest bit careless when fighting in Cloudy Mang City, the entire city would be reduced to ashes. Although Ning Yu was no saint, he did not want to destroy Cloudy Mang City. "You think I'm afraid of you?" The green-robed general leaped up and chased after Ning Yu. I wonder if Ning Yu can win. Watching Ning Yu and the green-robed general fight in the void, Lin Lang, who was in the teleportation pavilion, had a worried look on his face. Ning Yu was the main force entering the soaring sky, Celestial Kingdom's mystic realm. If anything happened to him, then this trip to the mystic realm was destined to end in failure. Don't worry. Lin Lang's cultivation was relatively low, and he could not determine who would win between Ning Yu and the green-robed general. However, Xiao Duanya was very clear. Just now, for some reason, Ning Yu's strength had more than doubled. Under such circumstances, if Ning Yu went to deal with the injured green-robed general, his chances of winning were extremely high. Should we inform Song Shihao and say that there are heavenly demons infiltrating Cloudy Mang City? Lin Lang hesitated for a moment and asked. No need. Xiao Duanya glanced at Mo Xiao, then shook his head and said, I believe that the internal affairs of the Dragon War Empire can be resolved by themselves. Don't worry. Elder Gua is very powerful. After he kills Zhao Feiyu, he will immediately join forces with Ningyu to encircle and annihilate the green-robed general. Mo Xiao knew what Xiao Duanya meant and said in a low voice, "Bang!" At this moment, a figure descended from the 9 heavens and landed heavily on the ground. Hiss! Seeing the figure descending, Yang Yuming, Lin Lang, and the others all sucked in a breath of cold air. This figure was none other than the arrogant, green-robed general. However, at this moment, the green-robed general had already become a piece of human skin. Even his bones had disappeared. Swoosh! Not long after the green-robed general landed, Ningyu returned the way he came and landed in front of Yang Yuming and the rest. Very good. Feeling the changes in the blood in his body, Ningyu nodded with satisfaction. The green-robed general's strength was much weaker than he had imagined. The confrontation between the red demon sword and the killing skeleton sword was more like a fated battle. Not long after, the killing skeleton sword was completely devoured by the red demon sword. After devouring the killing skeleton sword, the level of the red demon sword directly soared to the peak of the late-stage Immortal King realm, completing the process from quantitative to qualitative change. Furthermore, Ning, you could basically confirm that if the red demon sword devoured another peak Immortal King realm flying sword, its level would definitely reach the peak of the Immortal King realm. Of course, the most important thing was not that the red demon sword had advanced to the peak of the late-stage Immortal King realm, but that Ningyu discovered that the blood of the god of war body had completed the transformation level and had soared to the physique strengthening level. Although he had just reached the physique strengthening level, Ningyu was very clear that the strength of his body was already comparable to some martial artists at the peak of the Immortal King realm. And this was completely beyond Ningyu's expectations. After all, Ningyu had previously guessed that he needed to reach the peak of the physique strengthening level in order to strengthen his body to the level of a peak Immortal King realm. But now, just by reaching the early stage of the physique strengthening level, his body was already comparable to a martial artist at the peak of the Immortal King realm. One could imagine. Chapter 2448. Chapter 2448. Chapter 2448, The Blue Robe General. Now, I can easily deal with a late-stage Immortal King. Ningyu thought to himself, Ning, you might not be able to deal with some veteran late-stage Immortal Kings. However, he could deal with those weak late-stage Immortal Kings calmly, and even kill them with ease. Zhao Feiyu's strength is not too strong among late-stage Immortal Kings. Ningyu put away the red demon sword and looked at the void battlefield. There, Zhao Feiyu and Guisheng were fighting. Both sides had used all kinds of trump cards, and the sky was dark and the space was collapsing. Oh no! Suddenly, Ningyu's expression changed. There was no other reason. He found that an old man in blue had appeared in the void. The blue-robed old man was slightly stronger than Zhao Feiyu. What worried Ningyu the most was that the blue-robed old man was not Guisheng's helper, but Zhao Feiyu's helper. Pft, pft, pft. The blue-robed old man and Zhao Feiyu had joined forces and forced Guisheng to retreat, spurting blood. If the situation continued like this, in 3 minutes at most, Guisheng would be defeated or even killed. Do you need help? Ningyu frowned slightly, secretly thinking of countermeasures. Strictly speaking, he did not want to help Guisheng. After all, Guisheng had threatened him. Therefore, he was measuring the difference in strength between him and Zhao Feiyu and the blue-robed old man. Under the premise of a head-on fight, Zhao Feiyu and the blue-robed old man were no match for him. However, if the blue-robed old man and Zhao Feiyu joined forces, there was a 50% chance that they could kill him. At this time, helping Guisheng might be the best choice. Wait a little longer. Ningyu had already made up his mind, but he still did not act rashly. Even if he wanted to help Guisheng, Guisheng had to personally ask for it and pay a price. Otherwise, he would immediately leave with Lin Lang and Yang Yeming and flee far away. Unless it was absolutely necessary, Ningyu would not choose this method, because once he left, it meant that he had given up on the mystical land of the soaring sky celestial kingdom. After all, in order to reach the soaring sky immortal empire, one had to use a teleportation array. And in this region, only the Cloudmang city had a large-scale teleportation array that could teleport to the soaring sky immortal empire. Rumble. The battle continued. With the addition of the blue-clothed old man, Guosheng was forced to retreat again and again, and was almost killed several times. Inside the teleportation pavilion, Mo Zhao's heart leaped to his throat. He was well aware of Guosheng's strength. In a normal fight, Zhao Feiyu could be slowly ground to death. This was because Guosheng had a pill with him that could instantly replenish his immortal qi. Taking one would be able to instantly replenish all the immortal qi he had used up. Hang in there. Mo Zhao clenched his fists and used his secret technique to observe the battle situation. Mo Zhao knew better than anyone else. Guosheng could not lose. As long as Guosheng lost, he would definitely fall into Zhao Feiyu's hands. Falling into Zhao Feiyu's hands was no different from falling into Mo Chang's hands. Perhaps Ningyu can help. After secretly observing the battle situation for a while, Mo Zhao could not help but think of Ningyu. Ningyu was able to kill the green-robed general in an instant, which was enough to show his strength. There was no guarantee. If Ningyu took action, he could help Guosheng. At the very least, he could reduce the pressure on Guosheng. But Mo Zhao was also worried. Not long ago, Guosheng's attitude towards Ningyu was not very good. Who knew if Ningyu was willing to help or not? It would be fine if he was willing to help. But if he was not willing to help, wouldn't it be very embarrassing? Fight! Gritting his teeth, Mo Zhao went straight to Ningyu's side and said, Ningyu, as long as you are willing to help Elder Guo, after we successfully escape, I will recommend you to be the state preceptor of the Dragon War Empire. Ningyu glanced at Mo Zhao and said indifferently, Your life is in my hands. What qualifications do you have to negotiate with me? This, Mo Zhao was speechless. Ningyu was right. Even his life was controlled by Ningyu. What qualifications did he have to negotiate with Ningyu? Now if Ningyu wanted him to live, he would live. If Ningyu wanted him to die, he would die without a doubt. I have the Dragon War token. I can order Elder Guo to do everything. Mo Zhao's eyes changed, and he said in a deep voice, If you help Elder Guo escape, I can ask Elder Guo to do 3 things for you. There is no need for that. Ningyu waved his hand and said, his strength was already much stronger than Guosheng's. He didn't need Guosheng to help him do things for the time being. Puchi! At this moment, in the void, Guosheng was careless and was hit in the chest by Zhao Feiyu. His body fell straight toward the ground. Crack! His body hit the ground. A crisp sound rang out. Several bones in Guosheng's body were broken on the spot. Swish! Swish! After defeating Guosheng, the old man in blue and Zhao Feiyu landed steadily in the teleportation pavilion. Obviously, they joined forces to defeat Guosheng and consumed a lot of energy. Blue-robed General, fortunately you came fast enough. Otherwise, I might have been killed by this guy. Zhao Feiyu took a breath and said to the old man in blue next to him, Now that Guosheng is killed, young master can nibble away at the forces of the third prince, and thus complete the control of the Dragon War Empire. Where is the green-robed general? The old man in blue, who was also the blue-robed general, asked without much change in expression. This isn't. Zhao Feiyu turned around and wanted to speak, but when he opened his mouth, he found that there was no figure of the green-robed general in the entire teleportation pavilion. I'm sorry. Ningyu took a step forward and said indifferently, The green-robed general is there. Hearing Ningyu's words, Zhao Feiyu and the blue-robed general turned their eyes to the place where Ning Yu's finger was pointing. Hiss! With this look, both of them sucked in a breath of cold air. Where was the green-robed general? On the ground, it was clearly a piece of human skin. You killed the green-robed general. The blue-robed general's eyes narrowed as he stared at Ning Yu. If this is your so-called green-robed general, then it was indeed me who killed him. As Ning Yu said this, he quietly injected energy into the red demon's sword, preparing to make a sudden attack. In fact, Ning Yu used the green-robed general to provoke the blue-robed general in order to make him fall into a trance. In this way, Ning Yu had absolute confidence that he could instantly kill the blue-robed general. Very good, very good. The blue-robed general took a deep breath, looked coldly at Ning Yu and said, "You have completely infuriated me. Although I do not know why you have infuriated me, I can clearly tell you that all those who infuriate me must die." The word die fell. The blue-robed general instantly moved, rushing towards Ning Yu. It could be seen. The blue-robed general was furious to the extreme. The purpose of his trip to the Cloud Mang Immortal Kingdom this time was to rescue the green-robed general and bring him back to recuperate. But now, the green-robed general had been killed by Ning Yu. How could he not be angry? "Let me do it!" Zhao Feiyu was even more furious than the blue-robed general. He rushed out before the blue-robed general, rushing towards Ning Yu. All right, the blue-robed general could not see through Ning Yu. Chapter 2449. Chapter 2449. Chapter 2449. Negotiating Term Swish. As Zhao Feiyu wanted to show off in front of the blue-robed general, he was very fast. In the blink of an eye, he was in front of Ning Yu. He clenched his right hand into a fist and punched towards Ning Yu's head. This punch, Zhao Feiyu used 100% of his strength. With his late-stage Immortal King cultivation, 100% of his strength was enough to easily kill an ordinary middle-stage peak Immortal King expert. In Zhao Feiyu's opinion, Ning Yu's cultivation was only a 5th-stage, half-step Immortal King. One could imagine the result if he used 100% of his strength to deal with a 5th-stage, half-step Immortal King. However, the ideal was great, but the reality was harsh. Seeing that Zhao Feiyu's fist was about to hit Ning Yu stepped on the ground and moved a few steps to the side, easily dodging Zhao Feiyu's fatal blow. Damn it! Seeing that his fist had missed, Zhao Feiyu raised his head and roared angrily, chasing after him again. Swish! It seemed that Ning Yu did not want to face Zhao Feiyu head-on. His figure flashed, constantly retreating, moving horizontally and dodging to the side. Every time Zhao Feiyu's fist was about to hit him, he could always dodge it easily. Do you only know how to run? Zhao Feiyu was so angry that his nose was crooked. He wanted to show off in front of the blue-robed general. But now it seemed that not only did he not do anything, but he also left a bad impression. After all, he was a late-stage Immortal King, and Ning Yu was only a 5th-stage half-step Immortal King. There was a difference of several levels between them. Under such circumstances, he actually could not defeat Ning Yu. To be honest, it was a little unreasonable. As you wish. After dodging for a while, Ning Yu stopped, clenched his right fist, and met Zhao Feiyu's fist. Bang! The two fists collided. Ning Yu and Zhao Feiyu retreated a few steps at the same time. Gulp! Ning Yu's expression was calm without any change. As for Zhao Feiyu, he swallowed the sweetness in his throat, and his expression became extremely ugly. Obviously, Zhao Feiyu was at a disadvantage in this blow, and blood appeared on his throat. How can he be so strong? Zhao Feiyu was shocked. If he did not believe that the green-robed general was killed by Ning Yu before, then he finally believed it now. Ning Yu was able to contend with him without falling into a disadvantageous position. It was truly possible that he could kill the heavily injured green-robed general. However, even though Ning Yu had killed the green-robed general, Zhao Feiyu was not particularly worried. In his opinion, it was very difficult to make up for the difference in cultivation level. Unless Ning Yu advanced to the Celestial King realm, otherwise it wouldn't take too much effort for him to kill Ning Yu. You have indeed made me look at you in a different light. However, if this is all you have, then I can only regretfully tell you that you are finished. No one in this world. Zhao Feiyu said with a cold expression. Pucci. However, before Zhao Feiyu could finish his words, he felt his body lighten as he flew backwards in a straight line. Bang! Zhao Feiyu only stopped when his body hit the wall. Dark red blood spurted out. Zhao Feiyu's aura instantly dropped from the Celestial King late stage to the Celestial King middle stage. Moreover, it continued to drop. What did you want to say just now? Ning Yu looked at Zhao Feiyu with interest and said, No one in this world can save me? I want to see who can save you now. Don't go too far. Zhao Feiyu said fiercely, The blue-robed general will save me. As long as he makes a move, you will definitely be torn to pieces and die a horrible death. You still dare to be stubborn when you are about to die. Ning Yu raised his right foot and directly stepped on Zhao Feiyu's chest. The huge force caused several of Zhao Feiyu's ribs to break. Let him go. When the blue-robed general saw Zhao Feiyu's miserable state, his eyes narrowed, and he said in a low voice, I hope you don't make a mistake. Let Zhao Feiyu go immediately, and then let me control your mind. Otherwise, I will turn Cloud Mang City into purgatory on earth. Rumble. As he spoke, the blue-robed general suddenly released the aura within his body. Hiss. Feeling the aura emanating from the blue-robed general. Even though Ning Yu was prepared, he could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. Strong. Very strong. The blue-robed general was extremely strong. Previously, Ning Yu's guess was that the blue-robed general's cultivation was at the late-stage Celestial King, slightly stronger than Zhao Feiyu. But now, Ning Yu knew that he was wrong, very wrong. Even among late-stage Celestial Kings, the blue-robed general's strength was enough to rank in the forefront. In his current state, the possibility of him winning a fight with the blue-robed general was very low, frighteningly low. Unless he could devour Zhao Feiyu in front of the blue-robed general and raise his strength to the peak of a fifth-stage half-step Celestial King. Otherwise, today was destined to be a day of disaster. But how could he devour Zhao Feiyu in front of the blue-robed general? The blue-robed general was not an idiot, and it was impossible for him to watch Zhao Feiyu be devoured. I have to think of a foolproof plan. Ning Yu's eyes turned, secretly thinking of a countermeasure. Suddenly, Ning Yu's mind moved, and he said in a clear voice, I can let Zhao Feiyu go, and I can also let you control my mind, but you have to promise me one thing. You have no right to negotiate with me. The blue-robed general took a step forward, intending to attack immediately if Ning Yu did not agree. Humph, then we'll fight to the death. Ning Yu snorted coldly, took out the red demon sword, pointed it at Zhao Feiyu and said, The self-destruction of a late-stage Celestial King powerhouse is enough to destroy heaven and earth. You dare! The blue-robed general's expression turned cold, and he said, I said before, as long as anything happens to Zhao Feiyu, I'll turn Cloud Mang City into hell on earth. I don't think it's appropriate to use this kind of excuse on me. Ning Yu shrugged, exerting a little force with his palm, directly drawing a blood-colored mark on Zhao Feiyu's neck. Good. Tell me what your conditions are. The blue-robed general's gaze was solemn as he said, coldly, You better think carefully before you speak, lest you attract unnecessary trouble. The blue-robed general's reaction left Ning Yu somewhat confused. His original intention was to use Zhao Feiyu's self-destruction to threaten the blue-robed general and stall for time. Who would have thought the blue-robed general actually believed it and wanted to negotiate with him? From this, it could be seen that Zhao Feiyu was extremely important to the blue-robed general. Or rather, Zhao Feiyu had something that the blue-robed general needed. No matter what the situation was, in short, Zhao Feiyu was a very important bargaining chip. Before ensuring safety, Ning Yu would not kill Zhao Feiyu. My conditions are very simple. Ning Yu thought for a moment and said, "Prepare a spatial teleportation formation for us. Set the coordinates of the other side to be within the borders of the soaring sky immortal kingdom." "You want to leave?" The blue-robe general said coldly, "That's impossible. Even if I prepare a spatial teleportation formation for you, you absolutely won't be able to leave Cloud Mang City." "You don't need to worry about that," Ning Yu said lightly. "What you need to do is to prepare a spatial teleportation formation for me as soon as possible. Otherwise, I dare not guarantee what will happen." As he spoke, Ning Yu exerted force with his wrist again. Chapter 2450. Feeding the fish fine. I promise you. The blue-robe general's eyes flickered and finally agreed to Ning Yu's request. "Follow me." The blue-robe general walked towards the inner hall of the teleportation pavilion. Behind him, Ning Yu brought Zhao Feiyu, Lin Lang, Yan Yiming, and Xiao Duanya to follow. And Mo Xiao did not want to enter with Ning Yu, but thinking that he was still under Ning Yu's control, he could only drag Guisheng and quickly chase. Creek, Teleportation Pavilion's inner hall. The blue-robe general opened a heavy stone door and pointed to the altar inside. "You only need 100,000 two-realm stones to activate the altar, and the destination of this altar is the soaring sky immortal kingdom. How can I trust you?" Ning Yu glanced at the altar. "What if you suddenly destroy it after I enter the altar?" "Don't worry. This altar is a one-way teleportation array. Once it is activated, no one can destroy it." The blue-robed general revealed an ignorant expression. "Take out 100,000 two-realm stones now, and I will activate it." "No," Ning Yu said directly. "You." The blue-robed general's expression was extremely cold. But very quickly he regained his composure and took out a spatial ring and threw it on the altar. Crack, crack, crack. The moment the spatial ring was thrown on the altar, the entire altar gave off a cracking sound. This sound grew louder and louder. Finally, the altar split into two. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. For huge pillars of light shot up from the altar, and in the middle was a circular vortex. It was obvious. This circular vortex was the spatial teleportation array. "Go in," the blue-robe general said indifferently. "Before entering, let Zhao Feiyu go." "I don't trust you. How about this? Why don't you enter with me?" Ning Yu thought about it and felt that entering the altar with the blue-robed general was the safest method. Otherwise, if the blue-robed general destroyed the altar here, wouldn't he suffer as well? "Don't push your luck," the blue-robed general said coldly. "I've already given you 100,000 two-world stones to provide you with the spatial teleportation formation. I've already done my best. If you dare to negotiate with me again, do you believe that I won't abandon Zhao Feiyu and kill you by force?" "Zhao Feiyu is very important to you." The corners of Ning Yu's mouth curled up as he exerted some force with the red demon's sword in his hand. Whoosh! Another bloody mark appeared on Zhao Feiyu's neck. This time, streams of blood flowed down Zhao Feiyu's neck and into the red devil sword. "You!" Zhao Feiyu was shocked. Perhaps the blue-robed general didn't notice anything, but he himself knew very well. Ning Yu was controlling the red demon sword to devour his blood. Although the devouring speed was very slow, at this rate, the blood essence in his body would be completely devoured in about half an hour or so. "Pah!" Ning Yu raised his right hand and slapped Zhao Feiyu's cheek, saying, "Don't speak. I'm discussing terms with the blue-robe general, so when is it your place to speak?" Subsequently, Ning Yu looked at the blue-robed general and said, "My terms aren't too difficult, right? Anyway, you're stronger than me. You can come with me to the soaring sky celestial kingdom and then bring Zhao Feiyu back. No one can do anything to you." Humph! The blue-robed general snorted coldly as if he was considering the pros and cons. Cloudy Mang City was already under the control of the Sky Fiends. But the soaring sky celestial kingdom was not under the control of the Sky Fiends. In other words, if he went to the soaring sky celestial kingdom, he would face great danger. Once there were peak immortal kings in the soaring sky celestial kingdom, he would be killed the moment he left the teleportation array. There's no hurry. Ning Yu exerted more force with his wrist, and the red demon's sword quietly stabbed into Zhao Feiyu's neck. Previously, he needed half an hour to completely devour Zhao Feiyu's blood essence. Now he only needed 15 minutes to devour Zhao Feiyu. Fine, I promise you. The blue-robed general was a decisive person. He only thought for a few seconds before saying coldly, "I hope you don't make a mistake." "Hee, how could I make a mistake?" Ning Yu smiled and stretched out his right hand, making an inviting gesture. Swish, swish, swish. But at this moment, suddenly, 3 figures sped over and landed in front of the blue-robed general. Among these 3 figures, Ning Yu had seen one before. It was none other than the prince of the Dragon War Empire, Mo Chong. The 2 cultivators behind Mo Chong were in their 40s or 50s, and their cultivation bases were at the late-stage Immortal King realm. It was just that their late-stage Immortal King was far inferior to Zhao Feiyu. Even if the 2 of them joined forces, they might not be a match for Zhao Feiyu at his peak. "Lord General, this teleportation array must not be activated." Mo Chong's gaze lingered on Ning Yu and Yang Yiming for a moment. Then he looked at the blue-robed general and said, "I just received news that a peak Immortal King expert has appeared in the soaring sky celestial kingdom." Peak Immortal King? The blue-robed general's heart trembled, and he secretly rejoiced. Luckily, Mo Chong came early. Otherwise, he would have definitely taken the teleportation array to the soaring sky celestial kingdom with Ning Yu. And given his strength, he would definitely die if he faced a peak Immortal King expert. "What are you doing here?" The blue-robed general was shocked in his heart, but he didn't show it on his face. He looked at Mo Chong and said, "Why don't you seize the time to cultivate and advance to the Immortal King realm as soon as possible? After that, you can fight for the position of Emperor of the Dragon War Empire." Mo Chong was a chess piece of the heavenly devils in the Dragon War Empire. Many years ago, he was sent to the Dragon War Empire and slowly nurtured, striving to control the empire. Now that so many years had passed, Mo Chong's cultivation base had also reached the peak of the 5th stage half-step Immortal King realm. He was only half a step away from becoming a true Immortal King. "Lord General, cultivation can be delayed, but if something happens to you, how can I answer to the Blood Sky Battle Emperor?" Mo Chong hurriedly said, "This time, let me take over the soaring sky celestial kingdom. You will guard the Cloud Mang Immortal Kingdom and stop anyone who wants to take the teleportation array to the soaring sky celestial kingdom." "That's more like it." Mo Chong's words made the blue-robed general very happy. After calming down the blue-robed general's emotions, Mo Chong turned to look at Ning Yu and said coldly, "When I spared you in Broken Cliff City, I originally thought that you would turn over a new leaf. Who would have thought that you would take a yard after being given an inch and go against our Dragon War Empire?" 3 more minutes. Ning Yu didn't reply to Mo Chong. He once again inserted the flying sword into Zhao Feiyu's neck, and the speed at which he devoured blood increased. At most 3 minutes, he would be able to complete the devouring of Zhao Feiyu and raise his strength to the peak. At that time, let alone the blue-robed general, even if there were 2 more, he would be able to deal with them easily. Not speaking, Chapter 2451. Third young master, you want to throw me into the river to feed the fishes? Ningyu protected Zhao Feiyu behind him and looked at Mo Chang. With your cultivation base of a 5th stage, half-step immortal king, what makes you so confident? You should know that there are at least 80 immortal kings who have died in my hands. I can crush a mere 5th stage, half-step immortal king to death. Courting death. Mo Chang was enraged. As a prince of the Dragon War Empire, he had only been mocked like this when facing the son of the Blood Sky Battle Emperor. However, the son of the Blood Sky Battle Emperor was very strong. He only needed one look to kill him. Facing the son of the Blood Sky Battle Emperor, he could only choose to submit and did not dare to show his disdain. However, he was facing Ningyu, whose cultivation base was the same as his, a 5th stage half-step immortal king. Swoosh! With both feet on the ground, Mo Chang immediately dashed out, turning into a shadow as he charged at Ningyu. Mo Chang's speed was very fast, so fast that the friction with the air made a sizzling sound. Sizzling. Mo Chang's action did not cause Ningyu to panic at all. On the contrary, Ningyu once again inserted the red devil sword into Zhao Feiyu's neck and quickly devoured his blood. Stop! Although Ningyu's action was very secretive, it was still seen by the blue-robed general. The blue-robed general did not think much and immediately shouted, Mo Chang, stop right now! Hearing the blue-robed general's words, Mo Chang could only stop in place even though he was extremely unwilling. Turning back to look at the blue-robed general, Mo Chang frowned. Why did you ask me to stop? Mo Chang really did not understand. In his opinion, if the blue-robed general did not ask him to stop, then Ningyu would already be a dead man. If I ask you to stop, then stop. Why are you talking so much nonsense? The blue-robed war general was clearly enraged. He snorted coldly and immediately summoned his flying sword. He looked at Ningyu and said, Let me give you a word of advice. Zhao Feiyu is not someone you can kill. If you insist on killing Zhao Feiyu, then I can tell you very clearly that no one in this world can save you. Whoosh! What responded to the blue-robed general was not Ningyu's words, but a piercing sound. Bang! Immediately after, Zhao Feiyu's body fell backward and fell heavily to the ground. Zhao Feiyu's tragic death enraged the blue-robed battle general to the extreme. He had 2 goals for heading to the Cloud Mang Immortal Kingdom. The first was to rescue the green-robed general. Unfortunately, he was a step too late. The green-robed general had already been forcefully killed by Ningyu. The second goal was to take Zhao Feiyu away because Zhao Feiyu was the person that the Blood Sky War Emperor's 3rd son wanted. Although he did not know why the Blood Sky War Emperor's 3rd son wanted Zhao Feiyu, he was very clear that now that Zhao Feiyu was dead, even if he cut off Ningyu's head, he would still be punished. At the thought of the heavenly demon's punishment, the blue-robed general was a little scared. Even if he advanced to the peak of the Immortal King realm, it would still be difficult for him to bear the punishment of the heavenly demon, let alone a late-stage Immortal King. You what? Ningyu put away the red demon's sword, shrugged, and said, Everyone has the right to kill the heavenly demon. Everyone has the right to kill it. This day, next year, will be the day you die. After the anger, the blue-robed general calmed down. He slowly thought of a countermeasure, to kill Ningyu and refine him into a puppet, or to chop Ningyu into pieces to feed the fish. This was a very difficult choice. Mo Shao, Ningyu did not care about the blue-robed general. Instead, he waved his hand at Mo Shao, indicating for him to come over. After devouring Zhao Feiyu, Ningyu's current strength had reached the peak of the 5th stage half-step Immortal King realm. Even if he fought with an elite late-stage Immortal King, he would not lose and could even easily kill them, unless it was an old antique who had been in the late-stage Immortal King realm for many years. No one was a match for Ningyu. What's the matter? Mo Shao did not dare to be negligent and trotted all the way to Ningyu's side. Just now, When Ning Yu and the blue-robed general were confronting each other, Mo Xiao and Yang Yiming all retreated a few steps to the edge of the room, for fear of being affected by the aftermath of the battle. Now that Ning Yu had the upper hand, not only had he killed Zhao Feiyu, but also made the blue-robed general not dare to act rashly. Mo Xiao naturally would not sing a different tune from Ning Yu. You are the third prince of the Dragon War Empire. Zhao Feiyu was so favored by the blue-robed general, which means that he must have something extraordinary on him. How about this? Go and check it carefully. Ning Yu pointed to the dead Zhao Feiyu on the ground and said indifferently. This, Mo Xiao hesitated. Zhao Feiyu was the supporter behind Mo Chang, and he was extremely powerful. On the surface, it seemed that Ning Yu had killed Zhao Feiyu, but who knew what the truth was? If Zhao Feiyu did not die, and he went over, wouldn't he die very miserably? Is there a problem? Ning Yu asked, playing with the red demon's sword in his hand. The red demon's sword had devoured Zhao Feiyu's blood, and its level had reached the peak of the late-stage Immortal King realm. If Ning Yu had not taken a part of the energy in the blood, the red demon's sword would have advanced to the peak of the late-stage Immortal King realm. In other words, Ning Yu was not afraid of anyone. At this time, his idea was to find out Zhao Feiyu's true identity, and not to kill the blue-robed general. After all, as one of the generals under the Blood Sky Battle Emperor, the blue-robed general should have some trump cards. Coupled with the two late-stage Immortal King martial artists that Mo Chang had brought, it would be very difficult for Ning Yu to catch them all in one fell swoop. No problem. Mo Xiao's eyes flickered, and he finally went straight to the side of Zhao Feiyu's body. Mo Xiao stretched out his right hand and began to search Zhao Feiyu's body. While Mo Xiao was searching, the blue-robed general and Mo Chang next to him also looked at Zhao Feiyu. It seemed they were more nervous than Ning Yu. There's something strange. Ning Yu's expression was calm as he murmured, Zhao Feiyu should be a key figure, but why did the blue-robed general calm down when he died? Ning Yu had many doubts in his heart, and he needed someone to solve them for him. Anyone could tell from the blue-robed general's behavior just now that as long as Ning Yu dared to kill Zhao Feiyu, he would fight with Ning Yu to the death. However, after Ning Yu killed Zhao Feiyu, the blue-robed general calmed down instead. There must be something wrong with something abnormal. The blue-robed general's various actions made Ning Yu secretly vigilant. After a while, Mo Xiao stood up. In his hand, there was an additional golden token. 3. Ning Yu took the token and saw a blood-red word on it. Why is it 3? Ning Yu's brows furrowed into the shape of the character, Chuan. He really couldn't understand. What was so special about this token? Other than the special material, it was no different from the plop token. Third young master's token. Ning Yu didn't know what the token was, but Mo Chang was very clear about it. He looked at the golden token in Ning Yu's hand, his mouth slightly opened, his face full of surprise. Chapter 2452. Chapter 2452. Chapter 242. Blood Essence of a Quasi-Emperor. You casually tossed the token into the red devil sword and said indifferently, Who the hell is the third young master? The Dragon War Empire has the third prince. How could there be a third young master? Bastard. The third young master is a scum. Mo Chang shouted. No. Very quickly, Mo Chang realized the mistake in his words and hurriedly said, The third young master is a thing he... That's not right, ba-ba-ba, what nonsense. In short, you killed the third young master's command token, so you can't escape anywhere. Do you know who the third young master is? Ning Yu turned to look at Mo Xiao and asked. Mo Xiao sorted out his thoughts and told him what he knew. The Blood Sky Battle Emperor is extremely powerful. It is said that his cultivation has reached the peak of Peak Immortal King and is beginning to break through to the Quasi-Emperor realm. He has a total of 3 sons, who are called the first young master, second young master, and third young master. The third young master that Emo Chang mentioned should be the Blood Sky Battle Emperor's third son. Ningyu nodded and said, I see. In that case, since I killed a doppelganger of the third young master, the third young master will come to kill me? Humph! The blue-robed general snorted coldly. There's no need for the third young master to kill you. I can do it myself. You're not good enough. Ningyu raised his middle finger at the blue-robed general and said indifferently, If I want to kill you, I only need to use 30% of my strength. Arrogant, the blue-robed general roared and said, coldly, If you know what's good for you, hand over the third young master's token as soon as possible. This way I can leave your corpse intact. Otherwise, I'll cut you into 8 pieces. Is there something wrong with the token? Ningyu's mind stirred, and he took out the token from the red demon sword again. He unleashed his perception and began to examine it carefully. Good. Ningyu's face was filled with ecstasy as soon as he probed. There was no other reason. In the token, Ningyu found 10 drops of blood. This drop of blood should not be the blood of an ordinary warrior. To be precise, it was the blood of a quasi-emperor. Well, I got lucky. Ningyu's expression did not change, but he secretly tossed the red demon's sword into his sleeve and began to devour the blood of a quasi-emperor. Chi-chi. The speed at which Ningyu devoured the blood was very fast. In an instant, he had devoured 3 drops of quasi-emperor blood. The blood essence of a quasi-emperor was extremely powerful. The 3 drops of quasi-emperor blood essence allowed Ningyu to cultivate the body-strengthening level of the body of the war god bloodline to the mid-stage of the body-strengthening level. Refine them all. Ningyu didn't think much about it. He immediately unleashed his devouring power to the maximum and devoured the remaining 7 drops of quasi-emperor blood essence. Ka. 10 drops of quasi-emperor blood essence allowed Ningyu to cultivate the body-strengthening level to its peak of the physique strengthening layer. Previously, at the early stages of the body strengthening layer, Ningyu's physical strength was already comparable to a martial artist at the peak of the Immortal King realm. Now that he had reached the peak of the body strengthening layer, one could imagine how strong his body was now. Even if he couldn't compare to a quasi-emperor, he was far stronger than an ordinary martial artist at the peak of the Immortal King realm. There are 10 drops of quasi-emperor blood essence in a doppelganger token. How much does the real body have? Ningyu's eyes glowed. As long as he could capture the third young master, he would probably be able to pass the tribulation of the body strengthening layer and reach the first transformation of the war god realm. Of course, Ningyu knew how terrifying the tribulation of the body-strengthening layer was. He had no intention of capturing the third young master for now. However, after devouring the 10 drops of quasi-emperor blood essence, Ningyu's strength increased to a terrifying level. Now, some of the older martial artists at the late-stage Immortal King realm might not be a match for him. Have you thought about it? The blue-robed general saw Ningyu smiling foolishly and said coldly, Are you going to hand over the token, or should I kill you and take it back? I can give you the token. Ningyu played with the token for a while, then casually tossed it toward the blue-robed general. Swish! The blue-robed general did not dare to delay, and immediately scurried out to catch the token. Crack! However, the blue-robed general had only taken a few steps when the token shattered right in front of him. The shattering of the token first caused the blue-robed general to be slightly taken aback. Then he let out a hysterical roar. The third young master's doppelganger had been killed, but he could still withstand the Scythian's punishment and survive. However, now that the third young master's token had been destroyed by Ningyu, his fate was almost foreseeable. Go! All of you go! Kill him! The blue-robed general had never been so angry before. He raised his head and yelled, Emo Chang, go out immediately and mobilize the Sky Fiends in Cloudy Mang City. turn Cloudy Mang City into hell on earth. Yes, Emo Chang knew that something big had happened this time. The third young master's token had shattered, which was a serious matter. He could no longer care about his own safety. What he had to consider now was how to appease the third young master's anger. As for the matter of massacring the city, he would not do it and would leave it to the other sky fiends. Swish! However, how could Ningyu watch Emo Chang leave? He moved quickly and blocked the exit of the room, saying, "Today, without my permission, no one can leave. Get out of my way." Emo Chang clenched his right fist and punched at Ningyu's head. Bang! Seeing that Emo Chang's fist was about to hit Ningyu, Ningyu also clenched his right fist and collided with Emo Chang's fist. Crack! A crisp sound rang out. Soon after, Emo Chang collapsed to the ground like a dead dog. His entire being was extremely weak. Although Ningyu did not kill him, this punch was enough to seriously injure him. Swish! Swish! Seeing that Emo Chang had been defeated with one punch, the two late-stage Immortal King martial artists he had brought along wanted to kill Ningyu, one on the left and one on the right. Unfortunately, Ningyu's current strength was already extremely powerful. How could two cultivators who had just stepped into the late Immortal King realm be a match for Ningyu? Bang! Ningyu just casually threw two punches, and the two late-stage Immortal King martial artists were blasted back, falling heavily to the ground. Your strength! The blue-robed general turned pale with fright. He did not expect that Ningyu's strength would improve so much in such a short time. It should be known that he had been paying attention to Ningyu's movements. Apart from destroying the token, Ningyu did not do anything else to cultivate. Why? Why did Ningyu's strength improve so quickly? He must have refined the Quasi-Emperor blood essence in the token. The blue-robed general's expression became extremely cold. Others did not know that the token contained the Quasi-Emperor blood essence. But as a general under the command of Blood Sky Battle Emperor, he naturally knew. How terrifying was the Quasi-Emperor blood essence! Ningyu's strength was not weak to begin with, and with the addition of refining the Quasi-Emperor blood essence, it was understandable that his strength had increased several times. This is troublesome. The blue-robed general's heart sank to the bottom. Chapter 2453. Chapter 2453. Chapter 2453. Terrifying Energy. Power of Faith? Ningyu raised his eyebrows. This was not the first time he had heard of the power of faith. When he was in the lower realm, he knew that some sects could collect the faith of warriors to cultivate. But he didn't expect that even sky demons could do it. Billions of sky demons will see you as a god every day, and your cultivation will soar to an unparalleled level. Seeing that Ningyu was a little tempted, the blue-robed general continued. You are now a 5th stage half-step Immortal King. As long as you submit to me, I can guarantee that in less than 3 days you will be able to break through to the Immortal King, or even the intermediate stage of the Immortal King. Stalling for time, Ningyu noticed that there was a terrifying energy swimming in the blue-robed general's body. Obviously, the blue-robed general wanted to stall for time and then use that energy to kill him. However, Ningyu wasn't that kind of stupid person. He could clearly see that even if the blue-robed general used that energy, it wouldn't be able to pose any threat to him. Under such circumstances, he would first pretend to be a snake and negotiate with the blue-robed general to see if he could snatch the cultivation method of the power of faith. Ningyu rolled his eyes and said, I don't think using the power of faith to cultivate is very reliable. Not reliable? You actually said that using the power of faith to cultivate is not reliable. The blue-robed general's eyes widened and his face was filled with shock. Swish! Following that, the blue-robed general shook his wrist and a golden substance appeared on the surface of his palm. The golden substance was a little hazy, and he couldn't see what was inside. This is the power of faith. Try devouring it. The blue-robed general used a little strength and threw the golden substance to Ningyu. Ningyu's sleeve swept, and he caught the golden substance steadily. He used his perception and first probed the golden substance. Then, Ningyu started to devour it. Buzz, buzz! After devouring the golden substance, Ningyu discovered that his strength had indeed increased a little. Although it wasn't much, it was still an increase. This is the power of faith condensed by 10,000 heavenly demons in half a month. The blue-robed general said proudly, "Think about it, 100 million heavenly demons condensing for a year. 10 years of power of faith. How terrifying would that be? So, submitting to me is the best choice. You'll be able to advance to the Celestial King realm very quickly, and you might even have a chance to charge into the Celestial Emperor realm in the future, becoming an exalted being." The blue-robed general continued to tempt Ningyu. As he explained the benefits of the power of faith to Ningyu, he secretly circulated the energy in his body, wanting to give Ningyu a fatal blow. "Give me all the power of faith you have. Also, give me the method to cultivate and condense the power of faith." Ningyu took a step forward and said, "I need to determine if faith energy is useful or if I can condense faith energy." "No problem." The blue-robed general tossed a sheepskin scroll to Ningyu. To numb Ningyu, the sheepskin scroll that the blue-robed general tossed out recorded the method to condense faith energy. Of course, it was only the first part of the condensation method. As for the deeper condensation method, the blue-robed general didn't hand it over. What about the power of faith? Ningyu observed the sheepskin scroll for a while and memorized the method on it. He said, "I need to use the power of faith to cultivate." Here, the blue-robed general took out a crystal ball and tossed it to Ningyu. There was a lot of golden substance in the crystal ball. Ningyu had observed the sheepskin scroll and knew that the second stage of the power of faith was materialization. Preliminary estimation. The amount of golden substance in the crystal ball wasn't little. It could be described as a lot. It could be seen. In order to stall for time, the blue-robed general had put in a lot of effort. "Kacha!" Ningyu opened his mouth, and in front of the blue-robed general, he tossed the crystal ball into his mouth and chewed. The golden martial artist went down his throat and entered Ningyu's abdomen. Ningyu hurriedly activated his spell and started cultivating. The golden substance was the power of faith. After entering his body, without Ningyu paying too much attention, it merged with Ningyu's own energy. "My strength has increased again." Ningyu was very satisfied. The power of faith that the blue-robed general took out had increased his strength to another level. Good chance. Ningyu had just refined the power of faith when the blue-robed battle general shouted, and a horrifying energy surged out of his body. Chi, 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 wherever the energy passed. The void cracked and countless spatial fragments blasted towards Ningyu and Yang Yaming. "Lin Lang, Yang Yaming, Xiao Duanya, stand behind me." Ningyu waved his hand, and a similarly terrifying energy struck out, colliding with the energy coming out of the blue-robed general's body. Yang Yaming, Lin Lang, and the others did not dare to be negligent and came to stand behind Ningyu. Even Mo Xiao and Gua Sheng quickly came to hide behind Ningyu. They saw it clearly. The energy unleashed by the blue-robed general was extremely powerful, not to mention a late-stage Immortal King expert. Even a true peak-stage Immortal King expert might not be able to withstand it. Crack! The energy unleashed by Ningyu had just collided with the energy coming out of the blue-robed general's body when it disintegrated. So strong? Ningyu's pupils constricted. He had miscalculated. This time he had really miscalculated. However, Ningyu was not going to sit and wait for death like a fool. He first sent Lin Lang and the others out of the room. then increased his speed to the extreme and rushed to the side of the two late-stage Immortal King experts. One in each hand, Ningyu threw the two late-stage Immortal King experts forward. Ah! Hysterical screams came from the mouths of the two late-stage Immortal King experts. In just an instant, the two of them died tragically. It's useless. You can't block its attack. The blue-robed general stood on the spot with his arms crossed in front of his chest, looking very confident. Is that so? An indifferent voice sounded. The next moment, Ningyu tore the void and suddenly appeared in front of the blue-robed general. I can't block its attack. I don't know if you can. Ningyu's voice sounded in the blue-robed general's ear. You! The blue-robed general turned to look. He saw Ningyu standing next to him, pointing the red demon sword at his heart. Don't do anything rash. The blue-robed general turned pale with fright. At this time, as long as Ningyu exerted a little force, his heart would be pierced. Make the energy stop. Ningyu controlled the red demon's sword to stab into the blue-robed general's body and said indifferently, Otherwise, we will die together today. Okay, don't be impulsive. I will make it stop right now. The blue-robed general waved his hands and shouted, Stop! Swish! The blue-robed general's words were effective. The terrifying energy stopped a few centimeters away from Ningyu and floated in the air. Gulp! Seeing the energy close at hand, Ningyu looked calm on the surface, but in fact he swallowed a mouthful of saliva. If he was half a step late, the energy would hit him. At that time, even if his physical strength had reached the peak of peak Immortal King, it would not be of any use, because Ningyu realized. Chapter 2454. Chapter 2454. Chapter 244. Unable to activate. I have already stopped the energy. Can you move the flying sword away? Ningyu secretly rejoiced. Wasn't the blue-robed general the same? If he had been half a step slower, Ningyu's flying sword would have pierced his heart and killed him on the spot. Do you think I'm stupid? Ningyu rolled his eyes and said, If I move the flying sword away, you will not hesitate to control the energy to attack me. So, I can only wrong you. What do you want to do? The blue-robed general vaguely felt that something was amiss. Now, he and Ningyu had formed a stalemate. Neither side could do anything to the other. Ningyu had the flying sword placed at his heart and had an absolute advantage. He was not bad either. The energy that was comparable to a full-powered attack of a quasi-emperor was controlled by him. As long as Ningyu made the slightest move, he would detonate the energy and perish together with Ningyu. Nothing. Ningyu said indifferently, Activate the spatial teleportation array. Let's go to the Heavenly Lawn Immortal Kingdom. Don't even think about it, the blue-robed general shouted. The Heavenly Lawn Immortal Kingdom was not his headquarters. It had not been conquered by the Sky Fiends. Once there, it would be equivalent to a sheep entering a tiger's mouth. Moreover, Mo Chang had said that there were peak-stage Immortal Kings roaming around the Heavenly Lawn Immortal Kingdom. No matter how arrogant the blue-robed general was, he would not be so arrogant as to think that he could contend against a peak-stage Immortal King, especially when his energy had already been exposed. Then let's perish together. Ningyu exerted more force with his wrist and controlled the red demon sword to penetrate deeper into the blue-robed general's body. All right, the blue-robed general gritted his teeth. Under such circumstances, the blue-robed general had no choice but to compromise. He did not want to perish together with Ningyu. In fact, he had thought that Ningyu would be the first to give up and choose to compromise. Who would have thought? The first to compromise was not Ningyu, but him. Lin Lang, Yang Yeming, take Mo Chang and those two late Immortal Kings. After getting the confirmation from the blue-robed general, Ningyu instructed Yang Yeming and the others. However, halfway through his words, Ningyu changed his words. kill the two late-stage Immortal King powerhouses. There's no point in keeping them. Can you make them stay? Mo Shao looked at Ningyu, gritted his teeth, and said, "They are all experts of the Dragon War Empire. Hand them over to me. I guarantee that they will never associate with the heavenly demons again." Whoosh! Ningyu shifted his gaze and looked at Mo Shao. Ningyu didn't say anything. He just looked at Mo Shao quietly. Although Ningyu didn't say anything, the pressure he exerted on Mo Shao caused beads of sweat to form on his forehead. Just as Mo Shao couldn't hold on any longer, Ningyu said, "I can give them to you, but what can you bring me in return?" Mo Shao bit his lip and said, "As long as you kill Mo Chang, I will be the most advantageous contender for the Crown Prince of the Dragon War Empire. Once I become the Crown Prince of the Dragon War Empire, I will give you a lot of benefits." "There's no real benefit in getting something without risking anything," Ningyu said with a shrug. "Elder Gua." Mo Zhao's expression changed. Finally, he looked at Guisheng and said in a low voice, "Take out that thing." "Are you really going to give it to him?" Guisheng's face was full of reluctance. "Give it to me," Mo Shao said coldly. Whoosh! Guisheng flicked his wrist and threw a jade bottle to Mo Shao. Pa! Mo Shao didn't catch the jade bottle, but casually threw it to Ningyu. Ningyu's eyes narrowed. He caught the jade bottle steadily, his brows slightly solemn. The jade bottle wasn't too big. It was only the size of a little finger. However, there were 3 drops of Boundary Emperor blood essence in the jade bottle. Ningyu had already seen how terrifying the Boundary Emperor blood essence was. 10 drops of Boundary Emperor blood essence allowed him to cultivate the war god body to the peak of the body strengthening tier. Now that Mo Shao had taken out 3 drops of Boundary Emperor blood essence, it was a good harvest. "Ningyu, give me the Boundary Emperor blood essence. I can break through to the Immortal King realm." Ningyu was just about to throw the Boundary Emperor blood essence into the red demon sword when Ninglu's anxious voice sounded in his ears. Ningyu was slightly stunned. He asked, "Are you sure you can break through to the Immortal King realm?" "I guarantee it's real," Ninglu hurriedly said. "I can feel that there are other saplings of the world tree in the Immortal Court realm. They are existences like me. Moreover, their cultivation is much higher than mine. Therefore, I have to improve my strength as soon as possible. Otherwise, I will definitely be devoured the next time I meet him." "So serious?" Ningyu's original intention was to keep the Boundary Emperor blood essence in case he needed it. After all, even if he devoured 3 drops of Boundary Emperor blood essence, he would not be able to reach the first transformation of the War God realm. Unless he reached the early stage Immortal King realm, no amount of Boundary Emperor blood essence would be useful. Ningyu was a little confused by Ninglu's words. Was there really a sapling of the world tree in the Immortal Court realm? Use it sparingly. Ningyu threw the 3 drops of Boundary Emperor blood essence into the red demon sword and handed them to Ninglu. Gulp! Without any hesitation, Ninglu threw the Boundary Emperor blood essence into his mouth and began to cultivate. Chi-chi! As soon as the Boundary Emperor blood essence entered his mouth, it made a sizzling sound. Moreover, Ninglu's cultivation was also increasing rapidly. At this rate, Ninglu might really be able to break through to the Immortal King realm soon. Mo Shao collected his thoughts. Ningyu did not pay too much attention to Ninglu. He waved his hand and said to Mo Shao, "I'll leave the 2 late-stage Immortal King realm experts to you. Also, I'll give Mo Chang to you." "Thank you." Mo Shao thanked him profusely. He was just worried that Ningyu would not hand Mo Chang over to him. After all, Mo Chang was very powerful in the Dragon War Empire and was a great threat to him in his fight for the position of Crown Prince. Now that Ningyu had handed Mo Chang over to him, it meant that he could control Mo Chang's life at will. 3 drops of Boundary Emperor blood essence. It was worth it. We can't just do this. At this moment, the blue-robe general said, "The energy I unleashed is very terrifying. If we bring it into the teleportation formation, all of us will die. What do you think we should do?" Ning Yu asked. "Let me absorb the energy into my body. Then I'll take the teleportation formation with you," the blue-robe general said in a deep voice. "I don't really trust you. What if you go back on your word?" Ning Yu said indifferently, "I'm not that kind of demon." The blue-robe general said angrily, "I'm a general under the Blood Sky Battle Emperor. I mean what I say. Besides, even if I want to activate the energy a second time, I don't have the strength." Ning Yu frowned. After a moment, he said, "That seems to make sense. All right, let's stop together." Swish! Swish! The next moment, Ning Yu withdrew the red demon sword, and the blue-robe general also absorbed the energy into his body. Actually, for the blue-robe general, this was very beneficial to him, because he was right. Even if he had the chance, he could not activate the energy a second time. There was no other reason. Every time he activated the energy, he consumed a large amount of power of faith. The power of faith in his body was only enough to activate the energy once. Chapter 2455. Internal Conflict. Let's go! We'll take the spatial teleportation array to the Soaring Sky Immortal Empire. Ning Yu did not waste time. He took a step forward and entered the teleportation array. Swish, swish, swish. Yang Yeming, Lin Lang, Xiao Duanya, Mo Xiao, and the others followed closely behind. Rumble. After everyone stepped into the teleportation array, a rumbling sound could be heard. In an instant, Ning Yu and the others felt their vision turn black as they temporarily lost consciousness. About half an hour later, Ning Yu and the blue-robed general regained consciousness at the same time. After regaining their senses, no one said anything. They all closed their eyes and unleashed their perception to guard against any possible danger. The spatial teleportation array was similar to the entrance of the Immortal Court. Although the danger of the spatial teleportation array was much lower, it did not mean that there was no danger. Spatial storms, spatial collapses, spatial faults. No matter which situation it was extremely dangerous. Without reaching the quasi-emperor realm, it was almost certain death. No one spoke because they wanted to conserve their energy for emergencies. Drip, drip. Time was ticking away. It took a total of 2 days to travel from Cloud Meng City to the Soaring Sky Immortal Empire. 2 days was not long, but it was not short either. Many things could happen in 2 days. Fortunately, to Ning Yu and the others, these 2 days were peaceful. They did not encounter any spatial storms or spatial collapses. 2 days later, Ning Yu and the others arrived at the exit of the Soaring Sky Immortal Empire's teleportation array. The teleportation array's exit was located in the Soaring Sky Immortal Empire's teleportation pavilion. The teleportation pavilion's influence was very great, almost covering the entire 8 southern regions. At this time, in the teleportation pavilion of the Soaring Sky Immortal Empire's capital city, in a room that was not too big, there were more than a dozen cultivators gathered. Leading them were 2 old men with late-stage Immortal King cultivation. Their strength should be comparable to that of the blue-robed general, who did not use any energy. Their strength was not too strong. Beside the 2 old men stood a young man. The young man's cultivation was not too high, only a 5th-stage half-step Immortal King. However, from the old man's attitude towards him, one could tell that his status was the highest in the teleportation pavilion. Old Mu, Old High, is the information you got accurate? Is there really a late Immortal King expert using the teleportation array? The young man frowned slightly and asked, "Late Immortal King experts aren't cabbages. Even in our divine Wind Empire, they're the best. Don't worry, First Prince. There will definitely be a late-stage Immortal King expert in the teleportation array." Elder Mu nodded. That's right. Generally speaking, when a late immortal king uses the teleportation array, it would cause a certain degree of compression to the space. Elder Hai pointed at the groove on the wall and said, "The design of this groove is very special. Once the space is compressed to a certain degree, the groove will appear. Now that there are 3 grooves, it means that there is a late-stage immortal king." Before old Hai could finish his sentence, he looked as if he had seen something terrifying. Ka-ka! The originally smooth wall actually showed signs of a slight depression. Could there be a peak-stage immortal king expert? Elder Hai's face paled. For indentations, this meant that there was an immortal king pinnacle state being present. "What's wrong?" the young man asked curiously. "First Prince, retreat quickly." Elder Hai's expression changed as he hurriedly protected the young man behind him. At the same time, he said in a deep voice, "Everyone listen to my command. Immediately surround the exit. As long as they show any hostility, kill them immediately." Elder Hai knew better than anyone else. Even a peak-stage immortal king expert would be very weak the moment they left the teleportation array. Under such circumstances, it was the best opportunity to kill or capture them. In the recent period of time, they had relied on this method to capture many celestial king powerhouses for them to order around. Whoosh! Not long after, Ningyu and the rest tore the void apart and appeared in the teleportation pavilion. As they didn't know what was going on outside the teleportation pavilion, Ningyu and the rest were very careful the moment they came out. They released their senses to the fullest. Attack! When he discovered that there were 4 late-stage immortal king experts, Elder Hai immediately shouted, "Capture them!" Ningyu and the rest. Mo Chang had brought 2 late-stage immortal kings, the Blue-Robe General and Guosheng. There were 4 late-stage immortal kings. The Blue-Robe General was already on the verge of exploding in anger. As soon as he came out, he discovered that someone was attacking him. Therefore, he immediately counterattacked. Even though he couldn't use energy, the Blue-Robe General's strength was still very terrifying. After all, he was a late-stage immortal king expert. His strength was not much different from Elder Hai and Elder Mu's. In addition, the ones who attacked him were only early-stage or mid-stage immortal kings. Therefore, he killed 3 of them in an instant. Fifth Prince? In just an instant, 3 experts were killed. Elder Hai and Elder Mu were furious. However, just as they were about to take the initiative to capture the Blue-Robe General, they suddenly discovered Yang Yiming standing beside Ningyu. Yang Yiming, from the Divine Wind Empire, was the 5th Prince of the Divine Wind Empire. "All of you, stop!" After seeing Yang Yiming, Elder Hai realized that there seemed to be some misunderstanding and hurriedly said, "All of you, stop!" Swoosh! Elder Hai's rebuke made the martial artists in the room stop fighting. Among them, the Blue-Robe General stood alone on one side. Ningyu and Yang Yiming stood on one side. Elder Hai and the young man stood on the other side. The 3 forces were clearly separated. Fifth brother? With Elder Hai's reminder, the young man also discovered Yang Yiming. He opened his mouth slightly and said, "You actually didn't die?" "Humph! Big brother, I won't die even if you die." Yang Yiming snorted coldly. "What do you mean by this? I just appeared, and you immediately ordered your men to attack me. Are you looking down on me?" Cough, cough, no such thing. The young man coughed twice, looking somewhat embarrassed. In the Divine Wind Empire, although Yang Yiming usually didn't reveal his strength, everyone knew that he controlled an extremely terrifying force. Even if he joined forces with the other princes, it would be difficult to contend against him. Almost all the people of the Divine Wind Empire believed that the position of Crown Prince was already in Yang Yiming's pocket. Under such circumstances, he took the risk to come to the Soaring Sky Immortal Empire. He wanted to explore the secret realm and see if he could find a way to increase his strength. After all, the position of Crown Prince of the Divine Wind Empire not only needed a powerful force behind him, but his own strength could not be weak either. Perhaps in terms of force, he was slightly weaker than Yang Yeming. However, in terms of personal strength, he believed that he would not lose to Yang Yeming. "First Prince, why don't?" Elder Hai whispered to the young man beside him. Hearing Elder Hai's words, the young man, who was also Yang Zhaoxiu, had a solemn expression at first. Then, his expression turned somewhat sinister. It seemed Chapter 2456. Chapter 2456. Chapter 2456. Cowardice. As long as he could kill Yang Zhaoxiu and seize the items in the secret realm, the position of the Crown Prince of the Divine Wind Empire would be his. Now, there were 3 late-stage Immortal King martial artists on Yang Yeming's side. One of them had suffered a serious injury and had yet to recover. Under such circumstances, there was a high chance that Elder Hai and Elder Mu could kill him. As for the blue-robed martial artist next to him, Yang Zhaoxiu thought that he would not interfere as long as he was given some benefits. Thinking of this, Yang Zhaoxiu nodded lightly. Receiving Yang Zhaoxiu's affirmation, Elder Hai's face lit up. He stared at Yang Yeming and bellowed, "Who are you? Why are you pretending to be the 5th prince?" "You." Yang Yeming was furious. When he saw Yang Zhaoxiu and Elder Hai, he thought that he was safe. After all, the Divine Wind Empire had a rule that all the princes could compete for the position of Crown Prince, but they could not kill each other. He had never expected that. Yang Zhaoxiu had blatantly ignored the rule set by the Emperor and asked Elder Hai to attack him. One had to know. Once the Emperor found out about this, the consequences would be unimaginable. Attack. Take down the person pretending to be the 5th prince. Elder Hai naturally would not give Yang Yeming a chance to quibble. He bellowed at the martial artists on his side. The mid-stage Immortal King martial artists looked at each other, gritted their teeth, and dashed out at the same time. At this moment, they had no other choice. They knew very well that if they did not attack Yang Yeming, Elder Hai would activate the energy in their bodies and kill them completely. In order to survive, they had to attack Yang Yeming. Retreat. Seeing the experts charging at Yang Yeming, Guosheng grabbed Mo Xiao and quickly retreated. The remaining 2 late-stage Immortal King martial artists dragged Mo Chang and followed behind Guosheng. Mo Chang's life was already in Mo Xiao's hands, so the 2 late-stage Immortal King martial artists could only choose to submit to Mo Xiao, hoping that Mo Xiao would not kill them on account of their old friendship. However, they had forgotten who was the one controlling them. It was not Mo Xiao, but Ningyu. "If you don't want to die, you'd better protect Yang Yeming." Ningyu's expression was indifferent. 2 messages were transmitted to the ears of the 2 late Immortal Kings. Damn it! Sun Jie and Zhao Wu's expressions changed drastically. Ningyu pulled them back to reality. The real manipulator behind the scenes had nothing to do with Mo Xiao, but Ningyu. After all, even Mo Xiao was controlled by Ningyu, let alone them. Voila! In order to survive, Sun Jie and Zhao Wu turned around at the same time and rushed towards the crowd. Rumble! The battle broke out instantly. Sun Jie and Zhao Wu's cultivation were genuine late Immortal Kings. Unless Elder Hai and Elder Mu took action, their strength was enough to rank in the top 5 in the teleportation pavilion. Piu. It only took a split second. 3 early Immortal King realm martial artists had been killed. Whoosh! Seeing that their comrade was killed, the rest of the Immortal Kings retreated to Old Hai's side. These people were not fools. With Zhao Wu and Sun Jie protecting Yang Yeming, small fries like them obviously wouldn't be able to gain any advantage. The situation was very clear. If they insisted on killing Yang Yeming, They would probably die before Yang Yiming did. You're all trash. Elder Hai's expression was extremely cold. He didn't expect Zhao Wu and Sun Jie to help Yang Yiming. Elder Mu, let's join forces and kill these two rascals. Elder Hai took a deep breath and took a step forward. No problem. Elder Mu said coldly, there's a path to heaven, but you don't want to go to hell. Ning Yu rolled his eyes. Ning Yu first glanced at the recovering blue-robed general, then directly ignored Elder Mu and Elder Hai, and his gaze fell on Yang Zhaoshu. Through their conversation just now, Ning Yu could basically determine that Yang Zhaoshu and Yang Yiming's status were similar. They were both princes of the Divine Wind Empire. However, Yang Zhaoshu's power seemed to be much weaker than Yang Yiming's. Shaking his head, Ning Yu filtered out all these messy thoughts in his mind. At this stage, the most important thing was not to think about these things, but to reach a preliminary consensus with Yang Zhaoshu to deal with the blue-robed general together. After all, there was a terrifying energy in the blue-robed general's body. When that energy erupted, it was equivalent to the full power of a quasi-emperor expert. Ning Yu was not confident that he could withstand it. Therefore, he had to join forces with the two late-stage Immortal King experts under Yang Zhaoshu. What do you want? Seeing Ning Yu's gaze shift to him, Yang Zhaoshu's face turned cold, and he said in a low voice, if you take half a step forward, don't blame me for being impolite. Let's talk about something. Ning Yu stopped and transmitted his voice. Let your two late-stage Immortal King experts cooperate with me to deal with the blue-robed general. Blue-robed general? What blue-robed general? Yang Zhaoshu's eyes narrowed, and he also transmitted his voice. One of the 9 great generals under the Blood Sky Battle Emperor, the blue-robed general. Since he wanted to cooperate with Yang Zhaoshu, Ning Yu naturally had to tell him the true identity of the blue-robed general. Otherwise, no matter what he said, he was afraid that Yang Zhaoshu would not agree. Heavenly Demon. Yang Zhaoshu's face changed slightly. He had also heard of the Blood Sky Battle Emperor. It was said that the Blood Sky Battle Emperor was one of the experts of the 8 southern regions. His strength was very likely to reach the peak of the Immortal King realm, or even the Quasi-Emperor realm. Now that Ning Yu said that the Blue-Robe General was an expert under the Blood Sky Battle Emperor, he was already shocked to the extreme. Even, he was secretly thinking of a countermeasure. Should he make a move against the Blue-Robe General? After all, the consequences of provoking the Blood Sky Battle Emperor would be unimaginable. If the Blood Sky Battle Emperor was angry, the entire Divine Wind Empire might fall into a situation of eternal damnation. You have no choice. Ning Yu saw through Yang Zhaoshu's thoughts and said, there is an extremely terrifying energy in the blue-robed general's body. As long as he detonates that energy, everyone here today will die. What? Yang Zhaoshu was finally moved. Energy that was enough to kill all of them? Could it be that he had reached the quasi-emperor realm? The more he thought about it, the more Yang Zhaoshu felt that it was possible. He rolled his eyes and did not directly agree to Ning Yu. This matter was of great importance, and he needed to discuss it with Old Hai and Old Mu. It will be difficult to achieve great things. Seeing Yang Zhaoshu's action, Ning Yu gently shook his head. He still could not rely on others. At the critical moment, the only one he could rely on was himself. The blue-robed general is recovering. Ning Yu glanced at the blue-robed general casually and said to himself, just give him another 3 minutes, and he will be able to recover to his peak state. Ning Yu knew the blue-robed general's condition better than anyone else. The blue-robed general could recover to his peak state, which meant that he still had a large amount of power of faith. Only by relying on the power of faith could the blue-robed general recover so quickly. Chapter 2457. Chapter 2457. Chapter 2457. Supporters, I have to think of a way. Since Yang Zhaoxu was unwilling to attack the blue-robed general, Ning Yu could only think of a way himself. Firstly, he had to attack the blue-robed general within 3 minutes. Otherwise, when the blue-robed general recovered to his peak state, everyone combined would not be able to fight him. Secondly, he had to get rid of Yang Zhaoxu. Elder Hai and Elder Mu weren't weak. If the two of them joined forces, they could hold him back for at least 3 minutes. In other words, once Elder Hai and the blue-robed general joined forces, the consequences would be unimaginable. Lin Lang, Duanya City Lord, Yang Yeming, you guys enter the Red Demon Sword first. Ning Yu secretly transmitted his voice to Lin Lang and Xiao Duanya. A battle would definitely break out. At that time, Lin Lang and Xiao Duanya would most likely become cannon fodder if they stayed. Letting them enter the Red Demon Sword was the best choice. As for Mo Xiao and Guisheng, Ning Yu did not think too much about it. As the Prince of the Dragon War Empire, Ning Yu did not believe that Mo Xiao did not have any trump cards. Although Mo Xiao was under his control, he did not want anything from Mo Xiao. Whoosh! Ning Yu was thinking of a countermeasure. Suddenly, Elder Hai and Elder Mu's figures flashed as they charged towards him. Damn it! Looking at the two late-stage Immortal King experts charging towards him, Ning Yu could not help but curse. What he feared had come true. Since Elder Mu and Elder Hai attacked him, it meant that the blue-robed general had secretly contacted Yang Zhaoxu and had reached some kind of cooperation with him. And this cooperation was obviously very disadvantageous to him. However, Ning Yu was not an indecisive person. Even though Yang Zhaoxu and the blue-robed general had reached an agreement, he did not panic. From the looks of it, as long as he used all his strength and killed Elder Mu and Elder Hai within 3 minutes, it was still possible to prevent the blue-robed general from recovering to his peak state. At this time, Ning Yu even felt lucky, because from the strength of Elder Hai and Elder Mu's attacks, it seemed that they had not used their full strength. Amongst them, Elder Mu used 70% of his strength, while Elder Hai used 60% of his strength. The two of them did not use their full strength, which gave Ning Yu a chance. Red Demon Sword. Ning Yu channeled his energy into the Red Demon Sword and slashed out with a backhand slash. This sword, Ning Yu had used all his strength. Old Hai and the rest were arrogant and thought that they could capture Ning Yu without using their full strength. But Ning Yu was different. Even a lion would use its full strength to capture a rabbit. Not to mention that there was a blue-robed general glaring at them like a tiger watching its prey. Not good. The expressions of Old Hai and Old Mu changed drastically when they saw the flying sword flying towards them. They didn't expect Ning Yu's strength to be so terrifying. They couldn't help but have a bad feeling in their hearts. It was just that they suppressed this feeling very well. Chi-chi. The energy in Old Hai and Old Mu's bodies went berserk. They quickly circulated their energy and tried to use their full strength. However, it was obviously too late to use his full strength now. Puff! Puff! 2 crisp sounds were heard. The Red Demon Sword pierced through Old Hai's chest and then Old Mu's shoulder. Ah! Hysterical screams came from their mouths. It was only for an instant. The terrifying devouring power that erupted from the Red Demon Sword devoured most of the energy in their bodies. They would need at least a few days to recover after losing their energy. As for now, even the weakest early-stage Celestial King would be able to defeat them easily. Mo Xiao, take them. Forget it, I'll do it myself. Ning Yu originally wanted Mo Xiao to control Old Hai and Old Mu, but on second thought it was better to keep Old Mu and Old Hai in the Red Demon Sword. Since he had completely fallen out with Yang Zhaoxu, he might as well throw them to Ning Lu and let him devour them. What do you want? Seeing Ning Yu walking towards them, Old Hai and Old Mu shouted at the same time. "We are from the Divine Wind Empire. If you kill us, the Emperor of the Divine Wind Empire will not forgive you." Noisy. With a wave of his wrist, Ningyu opened the red demon's sword and sucked Old Mu and Old Hai in. "Ha ha ha, Ningyu! You have captured another 2 late-stage Immortal King experts. It's a pity that the energy in their bodies has been devoured by the red demon, but it's better than nothing. They can help me break through to the Immortal King realm." Inside the red demon's sword, Ning Lu laughed when he saw Old Hai and Old Mu come in. Although the 3 drops of blood essence of the Great Emperor had not been completely refined, Ning Lu's cultivation had reached the peak of the Lord of Heaven realm and was only 1 step away from the half-step Immortal King realm. If he refined all the remaining blood essence of the Great Emperor, Ning Lu's cultivation would definitely reach the half-step Immortal King realm. However, the half-step Immortal King realm was not enough for Ning Lu. According to Ning Lu's real intention, he wanted to break through to the first stage of the half-step Immortal King realm with some more energy. After all, above the half-step Immortal King realm was the peak of the half-step Immortal King realm, and then the first stage of the half-step Immortal King realm. "Take it easy," Ning Yu reminded him and retracted his thoughts. His gaze landed on the blue-robed general. Trash! The blue-robed general cursed in his heart. Originally, the blue-robed general thought that no matter how stupid Old Hai and Mu Lai were, they would definitely be able to resist Ning Yu for 3 minutes. Who would have thought? Ning Yu only used less than a minute to control Old Hai and Old Mu. "Stop!" The blue-robed general twisted his neck and looked at Ning Yu. "I will leave now. From now on, you go your own way, and I will go my own way. You want me to stop now? It's too late." Ning Yu naturally would not listen to the blue-robed general. The blue-robed general was a heavenly devil, one of the generals under the Blood Sky Battle Sovereign. He was a late-stage Immortal King. If he escaped, the entire Soaring Sky Immortal Empire might be annihilated. Therefore, the blue-robed general must stay today. Damn it! The blue-robed general took out a jade bottle and shook it. "Ning Yu, as long as you let me go, I will give you this bottle of faith power." Faith power. Ning Yu's eyes narrowed. He could naturally see that the jade bottle contained faith power. There was quite a lot of faith power in the bottle. As long as he could refine all of it, Ning Yu was confident that he would be able to break through to the Immortal King realm. However, Ning Yu was very clear. The blue-robed general took out the faith power not to befriend him, but to stall for time. "Yang Yeming, when will your people arrive?" Ning Yu did not directly reply to the blue-robed general's suggestion. He was secretly communicating with Yang Yeming. When they were in the Cloud Mang City's teleportation pavilion, Yang Yeming had already contacted his supporters, telling them to wait at the Soaring Sky Immortal Empire's teleportation pavilion. Now, they were already at the teleportation pavilion, but Yang Yeming's supporters were nowhere to be seen. 5 minutes. Chapter 2458. Taking the teleportation formation. 5 minutes. Ning Yu's expression was grave. According to his earlier judgment, the blue-robed general would recover to his peak state in 3 minutes at most. Although he had defeated Elder Hai and Elder Mu within a minute, forcing the blue-robed general to slow down his recovery and divert a portion of his energy to guard against him. However, if this situation continued, the blue-robed general's cultivation would recover to its peak state in less than 5 minutes. "Give me the power of faith first." Taking a deep breath, Ning Yu looked at the blue-robed general and said in a low voice, "Then take the teleportation formation and return to Cloudy Mang City." "Do you think I'm stupid?" The blue-robed general's lips curled up as he said coldly, "In short, let me go and I'll give you the power of faith, or I'll activate the energy, and we'll all die together." "Damn it! Ning Yu's expression turned extremely cold. The reason why he did not attack the blue-robe general was because he was worried that the blue-robe general had already grasped the method to ignite the energy. After all, no one present would be able to withstand the power of a quasi-emperor expert's all-out attack once it was ignited. Ning Yu did not want to gamble, so he was waiting for the blue-robe general to show a weakness. I don't care. Seeing Ning Yu's expression and actions, the blue-robe general shrugged and said indifferently, "Let's slowly waste time here. When I recover to my peak state, no one can stop me if I want to leave." "Sure, I can let you go." Ning Yu thought for a moment, then said, "But how will you give me the power of faith?" "Don't tell me you'll give me the power of faith after you leave. I don't really trust you." How about this?" The blue-robed general smiled faintly and said, "Let these trash stay in the teleportation pavilion. You and I will take the teleportation formation and return to Cloudy Mang City." "You're really wishful thinking." Ning Yu's expression was grave. In a one-on-one fight, he naturally did not fear the blue-robe general and could even easily kill him. But the crucial point was not the blue-robe general's strength, but the energy on his body. As long as the blue-robe general had energy, he would be invincible. After pondering for a moment, Ning Yu nodded and said, "No problem. I'll go with you to Cloudy Mang City." "Absolutely not." Hearing the conversation between Ning Yu and the blue-robe general, Lin Lang and Xiao Duanya called out at the same time. What kind of joke was this? Here, there were others restraining the blue-robe general, so he didn't dare act too wantonly. Once they returned to Cloudy Mang City, or rather, in the space, the blue-robe general would definitely try to kill Ning Yu. "It's fine." Ning Yu waved his hand and said indifferently, "After I leave, listen to Yang Yeming." Ning Yu considered all of this and realized that returning to Cloud Mang City with the blue-robe general seemed to be the most correct choice. The blue-robe general wanted to kill him in advance, but how could he not want to kill the blue-robe general in advance? In the space, it was hard to say who would live and who would die. Then, let's go take the spatial teleportation array now. The blue-robe general's figure flashed as he walked towards another room. There was more than one spatial teleportation array in the Soaring Sky Immortal Kingdom's teleportation pavilion. It could even be used unilaterally. That was to say, even if the teleportation array in Cloudy Mang City was destroyed, one could set a coordinate from here and then activate the teleportation array. After Ning Yu left, Yang Yeming's gaze slowly swept across the people in the room as he said in a low voice, "I know that you are all bewitched by someone to oppose me. Now I'll give you a chance to live. Whoever can deal with the threat can live." Crash! Yang Yeming's words caused a huge uproar in the room, especially Yang Zhaoxiu, who pointed at Yang Yeming and said fiercely, "I am the first prince of the Divine Wind Empire, your elder brother. You dare to kill me? There's only one chance. If you miss this opportunity, there won't be another one," Yang Yeming said indifferently as he took a few steps back, retreating to the edge of the room. All the martial artists in the room, except for Emo Xiao and Guosheng, wore solemn expressions. Elder Hai and Elder Mu had already been taken down by Ning Yu. Now, there were 3 late-stage Immortal King martial artists by Yang Yeming's side. Even if they wanted to resist, they didn't have the strength to do so. After all, any late Immortal King could kill all of them if they were to make a move. "Sai, let's go for our lives." A moment later, an early-stage Immortal King warrior launched an attack at Yang Zhaoxiu. "Me too. Me too. I can't stand it anymore. If it weren't for Elder Mu and Elder Hai, I would have killed Yang Zhaoxiu immediately. I would have killed this trash." After the first martial artist attacked, the rest of the martial artists stepped forward. Surrounded by so many martial artists, even if Yang Zhaoxiu had many trump cards, it would be of no use. This was followed by a miserable scream. The first prince of the Divine Wind Empire, Yang Zhaoxiu, who was a 5th stage half-step immortal king, died on the spot. Ning Yu did not know about what had happened in the teleportation pavilion. At this time, he was already with the blue-robed general in the teleportation array, rushing toward Cloudy Mang City. Swish, swish, swish. There was a certain distance between Ning Yu and the blue-robed general in the space. Ning Yu went straight to the point and said, "You can leave the power of faith to me. Let's talk when we reach Cloudy Mang City." The blue-robed general naturally did not want to hand over the power of faith to Ning Yu so quickly. In other words, he had no intention of giving the power of faith to Ning Yu at all. What he had said before was just a pretense to numb Ning Yu's senses. He had originally thought that Ning Yu would not be fooled. Who would have thought that Ning Yu would be so stubborn and actually believe him? Rumble. Ning Yu's face turned cold. He took out the red demon sword and slashed in the air. Crack, crack, crack. Terrifying sword radiance swept out, and the surrounding void shook violently. There was even a cracking sound. "What are you doing? Are you courting death?" The blue-robed general flew into a rage and shouted, "If the space breaks, both of us will die. You may want to die, but I don't. So, shouldn't the power of faith be given to me?" Ning Yu raised the red demon sword, looking like he would immediately slash out a second time if the blue-robed general did not give him the power of faith. "You win." The blue-robed general was also afraid that Ning Yu would attack. He glared at Ning Yu fiercely. Then, with a flick of his wrist, he split half of the power of faith and threw it at Ning Yu. Swish! Ning Yu reacted quickly. When the power of faith was in front of him, he suddenly unleashed the devouring power of the red demon sword and swallowed it all into the red demon sword. "Ha ha ha, Ning Yu, I really love you to death." As the power of faith was injected into the red demon sword, Ning Lu was the most excited. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.